the fuck up. Fuck that tree. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your Monday Night Raw live post show for the first time here in 2025. I am the Solomonster. This was the beginning of the Netflix era. Does it feel like a new era? Because it feels like the same era to me now that the show is over. It feels like the same era, but with some bells and whistles and a lot of drone shots. We saw so many drone shots tonight. Somebody's going to get fucking killed by one of these drones. But apparently that's something we're going to be seeing more of. They love their drone shots. The show looked great. From a production standpoint, the show looked slick. I mean, they had all kinds of different camera shots. This was the first Raw on Netflix. I personally did not have any issues as far as streaming the show, so I didn't have any lag. I didn't have any glitches. Everything on that end. From a technical standpoint, it looked good. It worked well for me. You know, hey, fingers crossed. Hopefully it continues that way. I certainly hope. But yes, this was the first time that Raw, believe it or not, was simulcast live all throughout the world at the same time across all time zones, which has never been done before. So no matter where you were in the world, you got to watch Monday Night Raw live and in living color. And this was a big show. This will go down as the biggest Raw of all time. Not the best Raw of all time, but in terms of promotion, in terms of all the months of promotion and the commercials and it's just the airtime they devoted to January 6th. All of the big names that they flew in for this show. You had The Rock back on the show tonight. You had John Cena. You had The Undertaker making a cameo. Of course, you had all of their current stars as well. You had Roman Reigns in the ring wrestling. CM Punk in the ring wrestling. And Cody Rhodes was there, and Seth Rollins. I mean, everybody was there tonight. But The Rock is the one that I was most interested in seeing for a variety of reasons. Because as you know, we are heading into WrestleMania season, right? It is the beginning of January. We're going to be heading into the Royal Rumble soon. We all know what happened last year. Heading into WrestleMania when The Rock showed up, okay? Everything got blown to fucking smithereens. And The Rock had one idea for what he wanted to do, and the fans had another idea, and things ended up the way they did. Things worked out okay. We got the final boss. We got the Hollywood Rock theme back. Cody finished his story. It all worked out in the end. But when The Rock shows up, The Rock is going to get what he wants. What does The Rock want? What does The Rock want going into WrestleMania? Does The Rock want to wrestle? Does The Rock not want to wrestle? If he wants to wrestle, who does he want to wrestle? Does he want to wrestle Cody Rhodes? Sure doesn't look like it after what we saw tonight. Does he want to wrestle Roman Reigns? Does he want to wrestle? Who knows, right? We don't know. So what would The Rock be doing on this show? And we got our answer. The Rock showed up, and he came out to his final boss theme. And he had his people's title with him. He looked exactly, same way we saw him the last time. We saw him at Bad Blood. He had that fucking belt over his shoulder. But beyond that, what we got tonight was Dwayne. We got Corporate Rock, who was there basically, thanking the fans and thanking Netflix and thanking everybody. And he was in a very jovial mood, and he was very nice, and he was putting over Cody Rhodes and putting over Roman Reigns and all of these different people. Not any hint whatsoever at heel Rock that we had last year leading into WrestleMania. And no indication at all tonight that The Rock is going to be wrestling anybody at WrestleMania this year, which of course does not mean that he won't be. But if you, like me, were hoping to get some sort of, insight into what he might be doing, we didn't get that tonight. I think a lot of people are going to be very upset about that. Because you were hoping for something. You were hoping for some little morsel of something. They didn't give you anything. There were moments there after Tribal Combat where it looked like maybe something was going to happen. And then nothing did. And then Rock left in the middle of the show. Not only did he leave, he streamed it live on Instagram as he left. But he did announce that Rock did that he's going to be on NXT tomorrow night. So they're going to be filming NXT at the Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles being where they were tonight. Of course, The Rock's daughter happens to be the general manager of NXT, so not a huge surprise that he would make a pit stop there. But that is where he will be, and we will get into what The Rock said and what The Rock did and did not do tonight on the show. But the show tonight was built around a main event of Seth Rollins and CM Punk. This is a deeply personal feud that has been simmering now for over a year, but really, it's been simmering for many years. It was supposed to happen at WrestleMania last year. Punk got hurt, didn't happen. So now, we got it tonight. Didn't even wait until WrestleMania. We got Seth Rollins and CM Punk on this show tonight. And I thought they had what was a very good main event. Started out, it was actually quieter than you would have expected, and it just didn't have that, like in the early going, it didn't have that feel like from the fans, like you would think they would be reacting even more to it. But as the match went on, it got better and they got into it, and I thought it was a very good match. And we got a clean winner. CM Punk beats Seth Rollins. I cannot imagine that Punk and Rollins is going to be one and done. Anything's possible, but I would be very surprised if there wasn't some kind of follow-up to this, some sort of rematch at some point, which could be at WrestleMania. I mean, there's been a lot of rumors floating around about what CM Punk is going to be doing at WrestleMania, what Roman Reigns is going to be doing at WrestleMania, and Cody and Cena, and all of these people. And as I always say, some sources are more trustworthy than others, but the thing you got to remember when it comes to this time of year, you're going to hear a lot of things. And I'm going to be talking about a lot of these rumors and reports, and you're going to hear it from a lot of different podcasters and news websites. Nothing, as far as WrestleMania is concerned, until we have a Royal Rumble winner who declares which championship they want to challenge for, okay? As far as WrestleMania goes, nothing is etched in stone this early in the year. I'm sure they have a sense of where they're going to go. I mean, Triple H has to, at this point, have some sense of what he wants to do, but we don't know yet, and we're not going to know for a while. So all of these potential matches that we're going to be talking about and theorizing about, that's all it is. It's just a theory at this point. We could very well get a rematch with CM Punk and Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. That rematch could be for the World Heavyweight Championship, or we cannot get that at all. Where that would leave Rollins, I don't know. But if Punk wasn't wrestling Rollins, it would almost surely be Roman Reigns. But we didn't get any indication of that tonight. We got a clean finish, and that's how they went off the air. And so we're left to wonder. And I will talk about what Punk said when the show was over, because they had their post-show on Netflix, and he did drop some interesting comments, so we'll get into that a little bit later on. We had Tribal Combat tonight. Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, the battle for the Ula Fala. That's what kicked off the show tonight. And we got a clean winner there as well. And it seems like that part of the Bloodline story finally is over, and we appear to be moving on to another chapter. But again, no indication what that chapter is going to be. There was no big surprise. There was no swerve. No, Heyman didn't turn on Roman. Rock didn't turn on Roman and attack him or anything like that. It was they played it very safe. And I have found myself saying that many times lately about Triple H. He did it at Survivor Series. He did it on Saturday Night's Main Event, where there were opportunities to do something different. And there were opportunities to, I'm not saying swerve people and shock them for the sake of just doing it. You know, obviously there would be a storyline reason for it, but he didn't do it. And what they did was very predictable, and they played it straight. And that's really what they did tonight. They played it safe and they played it straight. And there really were no big surprises coming out of the show. I think if you were to have come up with predictions for what you thought would happen tonight, chances are those predictions are exactly what happened. And that isn't necessarily a bad thing. But if you were expecting something out of this, some big out of this world angle or something out of left field, we didn't get it. John Cena was on the show tonight, the first stop on his retirement tour, and he did the deal. He did the deal, and what I mean by that is he said what I said he was going to do, because it's the thing that made the most sense, which is he declared for the Royal Rumble. So John Cena becomes the first person officially entered into the 2025 Royal Rumble match, which will be his last. And he automatically, just by virtue of being in the match, automatically rockets up to the number one spot as the favorite. the early favorite to win the men's Royal Rumble match. If I had to sum up tonight's show in a way that I think makes sense, tonight felt like it was about ending stories before the new ones begin, with no real indication of what those new ones are going to be. They left you with more questions than answers. But that really is what tonight was about. It was about putting a nice little bow on certain stories. Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, they've been feuding for months. I don't want to see Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa at WrestleMania, do you? Well, now we don't have to worry about that because Roman Reigns beat Solo Sikoa and now he can move on to the next. Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, they've been feuding for over a year, it feels like. Maybe a little less. Actually, no, you know what? It is more than a year. You want to take it all the way back to when Rhea injured Liv, they've been feuding now for well over a year. There was no way they were going to be able to drag this thing out until WrestleMania. They already dragged it out long enough, longer than they should have. Tonight had to be the end. And it was. Rhea Ripley beat Liv Morgan. She is once again the women's world champion. They ended that story, and now Rhea Ripley can move on to the next. CM Punk beat Seth Rollins. I sure hope that's not the end of that, but it could be. That was the story about tonight. But where these stories are going to lead us, they left us waiting to find out. They certainly didn't give us any real clear indication of that tonight. There was another rumor going around that it stemmed from the photo. On Friday, there was a photo that somebody from WWE obviously leaked on their social media of the ring mat. This was at SmackDown, but they had the mat that ended up being used for Monday Night Raw because we saw the blue mat, right, on SmackDown on Friday night. Now we have a blue mat. And I was saying, oh God, please let there not be a red mat. We do not need a red mat for Raw. That would be awful. We don't have a red mat. We have a black mat. And the photo that was leaked online ended up being the real photo because they have all the sponsor logos now. They've gone full UFC and full boxing. Full New Japan. New Japan has the same thing. They got logos all over the mat with the cerulean blue. And there's all the logos. Well, now we have that on Monday Night Raw. We have all the Netflix and Fortnite and all those logos are all over the mat in the middle of the ring. And it may be an eyesore right now, but I promise you, you'll get used to it. It sucks. It's just, it just feels wrong to have 9 fucking logos plastered all over the mat, but it is what it is. And we'll get used to it pretty quick. Look, I just spent 9 hours. 9 logos I'm talking about. I spent 9 hours watching back-to-back Tokyo Dome shows this weekend with logos all over the mat. It didn't ruin my enjoyment of the show. But they have the black mat, they have the white ring robes, and the referees now are wearing dark gray referee shirts with black striping on them, which I think looks really cool. Now they just got to bring back the blue shirts for the referees on SmackDown. But I think that looks great. One of the sponsors, though, featured on the mat, actually has 2 different logos on the ring mat, is Hulk Hogan's Real American Beer. I mentioned all the legends who are on the show tonight. I mentioned John Cena and The Rock, The Undertaker. I still love how Steve Austin is like, fuck this, I don't need this shit. He lives in Nevada. Okay, so they weren't that far from where he lives. It would not have been difficult for him to be at the show. I'm sure they must have extended the invitation to him. And still, no Steve Austin. He can't be bothered. He doesn't want to be away from Poncho and Macho, and I don't blame him. But they had all the legends, and Hulk Hogan was there as well with Jimmy Hart. And apparently his son, Nick, was there. But Hogan came out during the show. They trotted him out in front of the live crowd. They had 17,000 people. And I'm going to recreate for you here in real time the reaction to Hulk Hogan when he walked out here in front of 17,000 people at the Intuit Dome in Los Angeles. That's what it sounded like. And that's just for a few seconds. The entire segment was like that. From the moment his music hit and the moment he walked out there, Hulk Hogan was booed out of the fucking building. I this was the most amazing part of the entire, this is my favorite part of the entire show. Just because of the absurdity of it. Like, how did they not know? Okay, how did they not know? And I don't want to hear like, oh, it's because of politics or whatever. Look, I'm sure that is maybe part of it, but are we forgetting? Or are we just going to pretend that like this didn't happen like 3 or 4 years ago at WrestleMania in his fucking home state where he lives, where I believe he was born, when he walked out there at WrestleMania next to Titus O'Neil dressed like a fucking pirate and he was booed? And they didn't even have a full stadium back then. They only had 25,000 people. That was the first WrestleMania after COVID. They wouldn't even let the entire stadium fill in, and he got booed. And that was then, okay? So you can't tell me that WWE didn't have some inclination that this was the reaction that this man was going to get walking out there, okay? Yeah. Anyway, so that to me was just the most amazing part of the show. But that, you know what though? What made me laugh even more, and I didn't see this, so I have to give a shout out to Steve Mello, my boy Steve, who I'm sure is watching. Steve sent this to me. This is a legitimate photo, okay? Even the captions, the closed captions on Netflix. Look at this. Crowd booing. Crowd booing. Even Netflix knew. I felt bad for poor Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart standing behind this guy waving the flag. God knows what's going through this guy's head. Oh, man. I could only imagine what was going through his mind as he plugged his shitty beer, his latest product that I'm sure will last for a couple of years, and then it'll go the way that all of his other products that he's attached his name to have gone. I mentioned this on the podcast. Pasta Mania, the fucking cheeseburgers he used to have, whatever other products he's been shilling over the years. Now he's got a beer. Great. Okay, cool. We'll see what the next one is. So, yeah, Hulk Hogan. How about that? Quite the welcome here in LA on the first Raw on Netflix. That was my favorite part of the show, just because I was so thoroughly entertained by it. We had a small entranceway for the show, which is like basically like a minimized entranceway where you could see the fans above it, which I love that. I love that look. It just looks so much bigger than the usual bigger sets that they have. So that was the entranceway they went with. They had a giant circular Tron above the ring, which I thought looked great, but that is not going to be part of Raw going forward. That was part of the Intuit Dome. So that was part of the venue. That's a brand new venue, by the way. This venue just opened in August. And apparently, like, it's got all the trimmings and all the perks and all the neat little features. So I thought it looked great, but I don't think that's not the look we're going to be getting going forward. But like I said, streaming-wise, it worked well for me. I don't think that's going to be much of an issue. I don't know if it was different for people in other countries. If you guys had issues, I saw some people complaining about the announcers cutting in and out. If they did, I didn't notice it. So I didn't have any issues on that end. They have a new theme song for Raw. It is sung by Travis Scott, not Travis Barker, which I'll take the hit. I mistakenly said Travis Barker last week. Travis Scott and Travis Barker will never be mistaken as brothers, okay? Eskimo brothers, maybe, but not blood brothers. So I don't know how I made that mistake, but yes, it was Travis Scott. And not only does he sing the new theme song that I think he personally composed for this show, but he pulled up to Raw tonight. He was smoking a giant blunt. Right before Jey Uso's entrance, he walked out there, and this man, he's smoking a joint right there in the middle of Monday Night Raw. And I'm like, all right, cool. I mean, hey, it's a big party out there in LA, I guess. That's a first for the show. I mean, look, we had on the show tonight, The Rock at one point took a swig of his tequila, right? You got to get that product placement in there. So we had The Rock in the back as he was about to leave the building and get in his car to drive away, takes a swig of tequila and gets in the car. And he drives off. So we had drinking and driving, and we had Travis Scott smoking weed here tonight on Raw. So you wanted the Attitude Era back. That's about as close to it as you're going to get. This is your Raw on Netflix review. Your first one for January 6th, 2025. I am the Solomonster. Like and subscribe, damn it. We are now less than 100 subscribers away from 83,000. We just passed 82.9. I don't know that we're going to hit 83 tonight, but we are well on our way. So hit that subscribe button. Super chats are open. You will see them popping up on your screen as soon as I unpause them. And periodically I will pause and unpause them, but I will read all of them. Later on in the stream, I will make sure I get to them. We have a little super chat goal going tonight. If we hit it, we'll do a bonus edition of Be the Booker. I'm sure we're going to do at least one, but maybe we'll do more than one. Who knows? Who knows? I set a lofty goal for tonight. We'll see if we hit it. But yes, super chats are open. Let's talk about the beginning of this show and how the first Netflix Raw kicked off tonight. We had the usual then, now, forever together opening. That hasn't changed. Michael Cole checked in on commentary. They aired a shot outside of the arena. He said there's a big Hollywood feel because they had tons of celebrities. I'll mention some of the names as we go along that they showed in the crowd for the show tonight. And backstage, of course, all the people are arriving. Seth Rollins and CM Punk. So the lights in the venue go out. And they aired the cold open video. That's what they called it. That they uploaded to YouTube earlier on their social media. I mean, they call it a cold open. It's not really what it is, but that's what they called it. But it's this great video that they put together. It's a few minutes long, and it shows classic shots. I mean, they went all the way back into like the carnival days of wrestling, and then they're showing shots of like Gorgeous George, who was the first wrestling star of the television era back in the 50s. They showed Jerry Lawler and Andy Kaufman on David Letterman's show. And then they got into WWE footage of, past and present. And it was cool, too, because they had, and I don't know who it was, but they had an artist who was painting. And you could see like little snippets of him painting various wrestling personalities. And then when it was over, they had this overhead shot of a wrestling ring. And the entire mat, you see that, all of the wrestlers were painted in. Like, it was great. It was a great idea, whoever's idea that was. I thought that was a very cool thing. So in the building, they had large curtains that were surrounding the ring. So you couldn't see who or what was in the ring. The curtains dropped to reveal who else? Naturally, the first face that you see here on the first Raw on Netflix, Triple H. Oh, it's not about me. It's about WWE. Meanwhile, it's all we ever hear about is Triple H, the Triple H era. How many shows have we seen him open up? Please. He knows what he's doing. He knows he's only one business downturn away from being replaced at some point. Because now they got Endeavor, TKO. He's got a boss. He's got people above him. And right now, WWE is on fire, business-wise, and there's no signs of slowing down. But at some point, there will be a slowdown. There could be a creative downturn, hopefully not for many years. But you got to protect yourself. And how do you do that? By plastering yourself all over the show, right? It's smart. It's smart. But there he is. There's Triple H in the middle of the ring. He welcomes us to the Netflix era. They shoot tons of pyro off in the ring. And then the first person out to the ring in the Netflix era is The Rock. We go from Triple H to The Rock. A new era, everybody. We have Jeff Jarrett on Wednesday telling us he's going to go for the World Championship here in 2025. I was watching Collision the other night. We had basically Edge beating Chris Jericho in the main event, and then Raw on Netflix, the brand new era starts with Triple H and The Rock. I love it. Rock comes out, and he's got his People's Championship belt that was given to him at the Hall of Fame last year by Muhammad Ali's widow. I'm sure she personally made the belt herself, hammer and chisel. He comes down to the ring, and the first people he goes over and he gives a big old hug to. You know who that guy was in the front row? Ari Emanuel. And next to him, Mark Shapiro, the CEO and COO of Endeavor. So then he went over and he shook hands with Pat McAfee and Michael Cole, who are back now on commentary every Monday night. He said something to Pat and The Rock. He dropped an F-bomb and it got censored. So if you're wondering, hey, are they going to censor anything on this show? There's your answer. Very first segment on the show, and we already have a little bit of censorship there. So he took his title belt, he handed it off to his young daughters at ringside. They showed his mom was in the crowd as well. So he gets in the ring and he says, he's traveled these roads when he was young with his dad, Soul Man Rocky Johnson. The only way to watch WWE back then was to buy a ticket or watch it on Saturday morning. You can still buy a ticket. Yeah, I mean, if you make six figures, you can buy a ticket. You see the prices to some of these shows? There's a lot of people who can't buy tickets anymore. It's not like it used to be back in the day. He says, people, though, they're watching worldwide right now on Netflix, coast to coast, all over the world. He also announced tonight as the largest arena gate ever in WWE history. So congrats to all the people, yes, who paid those exorbitant prices to afford WWE the opportunity to come on here and gloat about how they just set yet another gate record here in 2025. He talked about the need for great partners, and he shouted out a bunch of Netflix executives who were up in their suite. And there was somebody else, he said, that he wanted to acknowledge. A man who he spilled blood with, a man who has carried the company on his back, he said, for the last year. He thanked Cody Rhodes, and they cut to Cody, who was standing there in the front row like a fan. He was standing there in the front row. And they were acting all friendly with each other. And The Rock is jokingly telling him, say hi to Mama Rhodes for me. And Cody laughs, oh, you rock. Yeah, you rock. Hey, maybe when the show is over, we can swap stories about when you made me bleed. And you put my blood all over your weight belt. And you said you were going to give it to my mother. Oh, gee golly, Rock, that was fun times. They were like best fucking friends out there tonight. No indication at all whatsoever that there was still any animosity between them, that Rock was coming for him, that he was coming for the WWE Championship, even though that is the very last thing that we heard from The Rock last April after WrestleMania. Like, I look back on that now and I'm like, what was the point of that? What was even the point of that segment? Now look, to be fair, just because Rock didn't attack him tonight or anything like that doesn't mean that it's still not going to happen. But it was just, The Rock in general tonight and the way that he acted was very strange. Very strange. That's why I said it was like corporate Rock. He was out there as like an ambassador to the company, like as a member of the board. Even though he was out there dressed like the final boss music, he had his belt. Like he was dressed like heel Rock, but we didn't get heel Rock tonight. So to see him and Cody palling around out there and then later on in the back, it was just very fucking weird. Rock also wanted to acknowledge his cousin, Roman Reigns. And he called him the original tribal chief. World would be watching his match coming up next with Solo Sikoa, and he would be watching as well. He closed with his catchphrase, and then he left the ring and he went over to give Cody a hug. Maybe invite him over for dinner one night. You bring the wife, I'll bring mine, you bring the kid, I'll bring all my kids. We'll have a good time. So we were 20 minutes into this show now, and Rock said that it was time to get this show on the road. And that was it. And I thought, well, maybe they're setting up for something later on. They want to throw us off a little bit. And we're going to see Rock come out again later on. Something is going to happen. Nothing happened. He did come back out, which I'm going to talk about. But nothing happened. But the first match of the Netflix era, this will be a history note, trivia note one day, was Tribal Combat, pitting Roman Reigns actually wrestling on Raw. Can you believe it? When was the last time that happened? I know it was last year, but it was a long time ago. Roman Reigns wrestling on Monday night, one-on-one here with Solo Sikoa. This was Roman's first singles match since he lost the WWE Championship to Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. Solo was out to the ring first by himself. Roman then entered with Paul Heyman, who we found out on Friday would be basically placing the Ulafala around the neck of the winner. He would present the Ulafala to whoever won this match. Alicia Taylor is now the new ring announcer on Mondays. They have shifted Lillian Garcia over to Fridays. So she was in the ring to do the ring intros once they were in, like it was a championship match, which I guess it was. It was for the tribal chief title, I guess. So it kind of was like a championship match. The title of Tribal Chief. The crowd chanted, "Fuck you, Solo," and they did not censor it. Thank God. That is going to be my favorite part of Raw airing on Netflix now. Because not a lot else about the show is going to change. Like, we had the same fucking commercials in the same spots tonight that we always have them. And production-wise, yeah, they're trying new things, but for the most part, it's the same show. But one of the most annoying things about the show before on USA, and we'll still have this on SmackDown and NXT, is whenever the crowd chants something naughty, if they say "holy shit," if they say, fuck you, Cena, or whatever it is, they mute the crowd. They either just mute the crowd for like 10 seconds straight, or they mute and then they stop, and then they mute and then they stop, and it's the most annoying fucking thing. On Netflix, we don't have to worry about that anymore. The crowd can chant the most foul thing that they could think of, and I don't think Netflix is going to censor the crowd chants. So that's one thing. That's one positive thing now about them streaming on Netflix. And 30 minutes in, we got our first commercial break. Unless you were watching internationally. It's because I posed the question to you guys on Twitter. I'm like, all you international fans out there, I'm hearing you're not getting commercials. Is this the case? And sure enough, if you were watching Raw tonight, anywhere else but the United States, you might have gotten like a video package here and there, but you did not get commercials. We still have commercials here in the US, but evidently everywhere else in the world, no commercials. So when we go to commercial, the action is still going on. And I think the commentary, like the show just continues. Now, nothing major is going to happen until we come back. But you guys lucked out and you don't got to worry about commercial. You lucky sons of bitches. I think I'm going to have to fire up my ExpressVPN for Raw from now on. That's what I think I'm going to have to do. Good thing I have a code. If you want that code, go check the description of this video. It's in there right now. You too can use ExpressVPN and circumvent these commercials on Raw in the future. See? Yeah, I'm always thinking. I'm always trying to help you guys out. Go take advantage of that. Roman was out there. He was wearing new Nikes, and they brawled around ringside for a little bit until Solo gave him a spinning Uranagi on top of the announce desk. Then he hit Roman in the head with one of the flat screen monitors on the announce desk, and then he hit him with the ring steps, and then he took a seat. And we went to another commercial break. When they came back, Solo was still in control. He was wearing out Reigns in the ring with a steel chair. It's tribal combat, so that's legal. Roman made a comeback. He got cut off, though, by a spinning Solo onto a chair. But he kicked out. Hey, let me tell you something, brother. If Hulk Hogan can come on Raw tonight to plug his fucking beer and have his product placement, and The Rock could take a swig of his tequila and they could have product placement with Terramana, I can have product placement with an actual product that you guys will benefit from. So fuck that. You don't need real American beer. You just go ahead and get yourself a VPN and you'll thank me later for it. So Roman made a comeback, as I said. He got cut off, though, by a spinning Solo onto a chair and kicked out. Solo pulled out a table from underneath the ring, but before he could set it up or slide it into the ring, Roman cut him off with a drive-by. And then he put the table in the ring, and he set the table up, but when he made his way back over to the ropes, he was going to pull Solo into the ring. Solo whacked him in the head with a kendo stick. So then in the ring, he starts wailing away on Roman Reigns with the kendo stick. Solo, he scales the ropes in the corner. Roman's already in the corner. And so he scales the ropes, like you're going to do the 10 punches in the corner. He's yelling at Roman and talking all kinds of crap. Roman grabs him in a powerbomb position, and he powerbombs him through the table. So Roman had the match won. Referee starts counting, and the referee gets pulled out of the ring by somebody who we cannot see. Camera pans back. It's Tama Tonga. Tribal combat. This is all legal. So Tama Tonga's out there. All of a sudden in the ring, who appears but Jacob Fatu. He attacks Roman Reigns, lays him out, hits his double jump moonsault, which is always a thing of beauty. Solo Sikoa then hits the Samoan spike, and he makes the cover, and Roman kicks out. And everybody cheers. So Solo didn't like that, and he decided to give referee Chad Patton a Samoan spike. So we got a ref bump. Finally, out comes Sami Zayn to his music, along with Jimmy Uso. No Jey Uso, just Sammy and Jimmy. Jimmy super kicked Solo. Sammy then hit a haluva kick and Reigns hit the spear. Covered him, but there's no referee. So they're waiting for another referee to come down. Here comes another referee, and Solo kicks out. Sammy and Jimmy, they hit stereo dives out onto the other Bloodline members, and they brawled off. In the ring, Kevin Owens appears, and he gives Roman Reigns a stunner, and he's commanding Solo, go for the pin, which he did, and Roman kicked out. Now Cody Rhodes' music hits. Here comes the WWE champion down to the ring. I guess he had gone to the back. Now he came back out. Gets in the ring, he starts brawling with Kevin Owens. He dropped him with a Cody cutter, and then he fought Owens off into the crowd, so off they go. Roman went for a Superman punch. Solo caught him, though, and tried for another spike. Roman ducked it, hit the ropes, came off, spear. And Roman Reigns pins Solo Sikoa to win Tribal Combat. One thing I will say about this match, this was better than the first Tribal Combat. If you have forgotten, and I don't blame you if you did, the first Tribal Combat was SummerSlam 2 years ago. Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. That match sucked. This didn't suck. So this was definitely the better of the two Tribal Combats. And the crowd was hot for it. The crowd was into it. But, it wasn't anything terribly special. It was overbooked, which you knew it would be because the nature of the stipulation. Like WrestleMania was overbooked. But WrestleMania, to me, WrestleMania, though, and what they did with Cody and Roman is an example of overbooking because of the story they were telling. And they kept trying to convince you, like, oh, God, here we go again. Another year. He's going to reign for another year. Cody's going to get screwed. And then somebody would come out to try to help Cody and offset, the bloodline. Like, the way they did it was great. It was brilliant. But yes, this match was overbooked as well. But it wasn't really anything special. Heyman climbed into the ring. He's on his knees. He's got the Ulafala. He's waiting for Roman to get up so he can present him with the Ulafala. Here comes The Rock. No music. You see him in the background. He's sauntering on down the aisle. Here he comes. He's taking his time strolling out. Makes you wonder, what's he going to do? This is what I was talking about at the beginning of this video. I said, there were a lot of things that they could have done. There were a lot of ways this could have gone with The Rock tonight. And they made you think something was going to happen, but then nothing happened. So he gets into the ring. And he asks Heyman for the Ulafala so that he can place the Ulafala upon his neck. And he does. And then he took his shades off. And he offered his hand to Roman for the Predator handshake. And Roman accepted, and they hugged, and Rock gave him a kiss. And then he backed away into the corner. And he put his hands down he put his hands down and let Roman have his moment. And Roman just posed and put his finger up in the air. And at one point, Roman turned his back to The Rock. He had a big smile on his face, and he literally turned his back to The Rock. And I thought, okay, something's going to happen. Here comes the rock bottom. Something's happening here, but then nothing happened. Rock held the ropes open for him, and they left. It was disappointing that we didn't get anything. It didn't even have to necessarily involve The Rock. I mean, it could have been something else with the other Bloodline members. We got nothing. We got nothing, except the most important thing, which is the end, seemingly, of this chapter of the Bloodline story with Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa and all this nonsense about Solo, I'm the tribal chief. I want to say this about Solo Sikoa. When this started, Solo Sikoa was out there, walking around like the Timu tribal chief. Okay, nobody bought into him, and I guess that was kind of the point, and they wanted you to boo him. He was a pretender to the throne, but they brought in Jacob, and it was just such a stark difference between the two where it's like, that's the guy that should be leading this crew. That's the guy you got to watch out for. That's the guy you got to keep your eye on. That guy's going to be a star. And I just didn't feel that way about Solo Sikoa, not in the same way. As the year has gone on, and Jacob to me is still easily the real star of the two. But as the year has gone on, I've warmed up to Solo as far as he's come out of his shell more. He's gotten more comfortable. when he talks or cuts promos, when he trash talks during his matches, these are all things we didn't see him doing before. He didn't really do a lot of talking at all. But he's come out of his shell and has shown a side of him that was not there 6 months ago, 9 months ago. So that's a positive. That's a plus. I like that. But you could not drag this out until WrestleMania. Nobody wanted to see this match at WrestleMania. Nobody wanted to see a battle for the Ulafala at WrestleMania between Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns. Better to end it here. Let Roman move on to something bigger. And that's what they did. They ended it here. There's nothing else to do with these two. There's no other matches. I mean, you want to run this match back on fucking Saturday night's main event? Okay, fine. Whatever. If you want to do one more match, I suppose you could, build to a match on that show. But this is it. Like, there's no more to be done here. Except with Solo Sikoa and the other Bloodline members. I wasn't expecting it to necessarily happen on this show. And I'm not upset about that. Because I do think that's something that you should save for Friday. And so what I'm hoping for, now that this is all over here, we have another Solo Sikoa loss. He lost for the Bloodline in War Games. Not even just that his team lost. He himself lost in War Games. Now he has gone in there against Roman Reigns after talking all of this shit, turning Jacob Fatu into a believer. Right, I love you, Solo, and Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. And he goes out there tonight and he loses. He is a loser. Losing has to have consequences. The consequences for him should be Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga attacking him and turning against him and kicking him to the curb. And it should happen on SmackDown this Friday. Because otherwise, it just doesn't make any sense to me why they would still follow him around. He no longer has the Ulafala. He doesn't have it anymore. So why would they continue to pledge their love for him and follow him? They won't. They shouldn't. That's what I'll be watching for on SmackDown this Friday night. As far as Roman Reigns now and where he goes from here, there's only two names I keep coming back to. The most obvious one is The Rock, and they did fuck all tonight to give you any indication that that's on the agenda for WrestleMania. And the other one would be CM Punk, because that is a heavily rumored match for WrestleMania. That is a match that has been discussed internally, according to, I think it was Mike Johnson on PW Insider, who broke the Royal Rumble story about them going to Saudi Arabia next year. It has been discussed internally to do Roman Reigns against CM Punk, play off of the whole favor that Paul Heyman owes Punk. Maybe they were going to wait, but they've seen the reaction to this whole thing, and they might want to do it at WrestleMania in Las Vegas. It's got to be one of those two. It's either Rock or Punk. But they didn't show their cards, if they even know. Again, it's all up to The Rock. Has The Rock even told them, yes, I will wrestle? No, I will not. I don't know. So it's up to him ultimately. Whatever he was going to want to do, they're not going to tell him no 2 years in a row. All right? The fans told him no last year. And he was able to, change and be like, okay, well, instead of going this way, we'll go that way. He adapted, okay? Good. Credit to him for that. It's not going to happen 2 years in a row. Whatever he wants to do, that's what he'll be doing. And we're going to have to wait to find out what that is. Now, there was a segment here, and I'm pretty sure this only aired internationally. So all my international fans will let me know. But I believe on the international feed, because I didn't see this, but Jackie Redmond.
Off is a direction you can fuck.
There he is. See? Rumor has it Triple H presented him with a creative idea for WrestleMania, and that was The Rock's response. They said, how would you feel about a match at WrestleMania against Santos Escobar? And The Rock said, off. That's the direction that you can fuck. So they aired this segment, apparently, with Jackie Redmond interviewing The New Day. Kofi Kingston said that they were supposed to have a match tonight, but they told Triple H that they really didn't want to be there because LA did not deserve to watch them wrestle. And they got booed. Woods said that Los Angeles was the one with bad taste because they elevated that trash rapper Kendrick Lamar, and Kofi said that they were mad because Drake won the beef. I didn't see any of this. I did step away, but I don't believe it aired for us here in the U.S., but apparently it aired for all of our international fans. We got another teaser video for Penta. And I know that it's Penta because we literally got his name in the video. It said Penta. So now we know, we already knew, but now we know for sure. Penta is on the way, but no indication though of a date, no indication of a location. We basically found out later in the show without being told explicitly he's coming next week. But they didn't say that here in this video. But then they aired the official Royal Rumble 2026 teaser video, making the formal announcement that the show is, in fact, going to, for the first time ever, to be emanating from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in January of next year. And in the logo, it even says Royal Rumble Riyadh. So Mike Johnson was the one who broke that news a few days ago. Now it's been confirmed, and so there you go. For the first time ever, the Royal Rumble, their second biggest event of the entire year, is going to be taking place in Saudi Arabia. From The Rock and Roman Reigns, we go to John Cena. In his first stop on his farewell tour, the stars were out tonight. They had all the big names in attendance tonight. Cena gets in the ring after he does his entrance. Of course, he got a great reaction. He's got a brand new t-shirt. I'm sure he's going to have a lot of new t-shirts this year. This one was blue, even though he was on Raw. They should have had a red one for Raw, ready to go. But yes, he has a new t-shirt for his retirement tour. And he said that this is the first time that Raw is simultaneously being broadcast around the world. He said he's learned over the years that the fans are very smart. Well, some of them anyway. Believe me, there's a lot of dumb fans out there too. But he said the fans are very smart. The audience is a lot bigger and their energy can be felt all around the world. He thanked Netflix. He thanked Raw for allowing him to stand in the ring here in Los Angeles in full jorts one last time. Because basically, not every place, but a lot of these places is the final time, as an active performer that he's going to be. So, I mean, it's possible he was in LA tonight. I'm sure he'll be in LA again, probably a couple of times before the end of the year. But a lot of these places, it will be their last chance if you want to go see John Cena live.
It's a direction you can fuck.
Oh, there he is again. There he is again. In his cowboy hat. I don't even remember why he was there. Why was he wearing the cowboy hat again? I don't remember.
It's the amazing Gunther.
Oh, Gunther is with us.
Jerry Lawler loves Gunther the Magnificent. All hail Gunther.
All hail. He says $50 for Hogan getting booed. I love it. Thank you, brother. Was that Kinginator? I think that was Kinginator. Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother Jack dude. So Cena says that it's appropriate here that they're in Los Angeles because he slept in his car in Los Angeles. He trained in Los Angeles. He trained with Samoa Joe, by the way. He didn't say that, but he did. There's a famous video clip, and I don't remember what it's from, but he was training, I think, at UPW, and him and Joe were in the same class. And Cena is applying, I don't remember exactly if it was, he was doing, I think, hammer lock, and he was supposed to do a wrist lock, or he did a wrist lock, and they said, no, that's a hammer lock. It's just like, one of those embarrassing moments that just continues to live on. But to go from that to where he is today, it's quite the journey for John Cena. He said LA is where the prototype was born. He said LA is where he won his first world championship, which is true. That was in LA, WrestleMania 21. He says LA has allowed him to perform in this ring, and he thanked the fans for it. Cena said this year is about making moments. He said there's a lot of noise in the building and outside the building. He said there's a new expert every day coming up with ideas for who he's going to face. And he ran through a whole list of all the top WWE names, talked about Cody Rhodes was one of those names that he mentioned, which is very interesting because it got a great reaction. And the latest rumor as far as what he may be doing at WrestleMania happens to be Cena against Cody. And I think, again, PW Insider even mentioned that that is currently being discussed as a championship match for WrestleMania. But he said people are also asking when he will break the record and become a 17-time world champion. And the fans started a "You deserve it" chant. He said the fans have always been honest with him, and he had to be honest with them. He said, guys, I don't see that happening. And the people booed. They didn't boo quite as much as they did when Hulk Hogan was out there, but they booed. And he said, no, it's okay. It's okay. He said it's because of the streak. And as soon as he said that, I said, all right, good. I've been talking about this for months. Can't ignore it. You can't ignore the fact that, as he said here, it has been 2,446 days, okay? Over 6.5 years. John Cena has not won a singles match on television. Now, here in the promo, he said that it's been 2,446 days since he won his last match. That is not accurate. But clearly he's referring to singles matches. I mean, he literally had a tag team match on Raw and won with Kevin Owens. And it was definitely within the last 2,446 days. I think he had a match on Raw. Was it Raw? Wasn't he in like a 6-man tag on Raw, I think after WrestleMania last year? So yes, he is referring specifically to singles matches. And he said, it's okay. I'm at peace with it. He said, that's why we're doing this. He goes, my time is up. Their time is now. He said, we're going to have some fun. And it's going to be a great year. But that 17th world title reign, it's never going to happen. See, and the fact that he would even go on TV and say that, it just confirms that it is going to happen. Which I think most people probably figured it would. Like they were definitely going to tell the story of him going for 17. I think there are still some people who don't want to see him win it. They don't think he has to, and they don't think he will, but he's going to. He's going to. I would have told you that 24 hours ago, but after this promo tonight, like, come on. You'd be a fool to think otherwise. But then he paused, and he said that, oh, I forgot where I am. He goes, you're not supposed to say never in this place. Rather, he said that it would take a miracle for him to be a 17-time world champion. Cena said that with a streak like the one that he's got going on, the only way that he could get a title shot would be winning the Money in the Bank match or winning the Elimination Chamber match or winning the Royal Rumble. And the crowd roared with approval. And then we got Goofy Cena. We got the John Cena. This is the John Cena that I was hoping we wouldn't see here. But unfortunately, I think this is pretty much the Cena that we're going to get for the majority of this year. Cena can be very good at going out there and cutting a serious promo. We actually saw that with Austin Theory in the build-up to WrestleMania 39 when he just scorched him. I mean, he buried him 6 feet under on those promos. And he was serious. Because he's got that mean streak in him. Like, if he wants to be a dick and fucking bury you, like, he can bury you. Okay? But what we got here was, it's just the way that he speaks. Or sometimes he'll make, like, goofy faces or something where it's very unserious. And so we started to get kind of the goofy, unserious tone from Cena here. And he's like, oh, crazy idea. Maybe I could win the Royal Rumble. He goes, it's a lottery ticket, and you can't win if you don't play. He said it's his final Royal Rumble, and the best way he could say thank you to the fans is to win the Royal Rumble and make history at WrestleMania. He said that if you know anything about him is that nothing is impossible. He said the only time they say never, is when he says never give up. He said he's not just going to the Royal Rumble, he's going to win the Royal Rumble. He goes, you want some, come get some. And then he tossed the microphone and he left the ring. So again, it wasn't like the entire promo was goofy Cena, but he just lapses into these moments where, like, there's a time to have fun and then there's a time to get serious. And I hope we get a fair balance of the two. That's what I'm hoping for. You know, at some point, I'm sure he and R-Truth are going to wrestle a match together, like as tag team partners, you know, because R-Truth is John Cena's biggest fan. R-Truth, he looked up to, he idolized John Cena when he was a kid, right? Obviously, they're going to do something at some point. Cena's going to be working with everybody, like all the key players he's going to be working with this year. And there's a time to have fun and be goofy, and hopefully there'll be plenty of times to not be goofy and to be serious, because he can be very good at that. I pointed this out months ago about this streak that he talked about, the fact that it had been over 6 years since he won a televised singles match. See, he's had dark matches where he's won, but nothing on TV. The last time we saw him in a singles match, he got annihilated by Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa gave him like 17 Samoan spikes. The man shouldn't even be able to speak. And for him to come back and, let's say, waltz right into a championship match wouldn't have made any sense. My attitude has been, you've got two stories you could tell with John Cena. He's not going heel. I know some people are hoping, oh, maybe he'll turn heel finally. He's not turning heel. But you got two stories that you could tell with John Cena. Number one, you got to get this story out of the way first. He's got to win a match. He just has not been able to win. So you could even take this into WrestleMania, and he finally wins at WrestleMania, and from there you could build to the title chase. That's what I was thinking before all this talk about him wrestling for the title at WrestleMania started bubbling up. I said, tell that story first. And then from that, you can move on to number 17. You've got the entire year. You don't have to go right into number 17. But now he's declared himself here for the Royal Rumble, which makes sense. And immediately, he becomes the favorite. Like, if you ask me, who do I think is the favorite right now, or who do I think is going to win the Royal Rumble on the men's side? It could be any number of people, I suppose, but I would tell you John Cena, because John Cena is the de facto favorite just by him being in there. And he's going to be the sentimental favorite for most of the fans who were watching that show and in the building that night. For him to go in there and win the Royal Rumble and get a championship match that way, okay, I guess, that makes sense. Or, I would even be okay with them having him fail, where it looks like he's going to win. Maybe he even makes it to the final four, but then he falls short. To me, though, it's dangerous if you're going to have another babyface win. If a heel is going to win, it almost doesn't even matter. What I wouldn't do, though, is tug on people's heartstrings who want to see him win, and then he falls short, and then whoever else wins, like another babyface, they end up getting booed because people are pissed. You don't want to do that. But if he were to, let's say, fall short in the Rumble, he could still go on to win the Elimination Chamber. You could tell all throughout the month of February, okay, Cena, he missed the chance at the Rumble. He's got one chance left. And it just so happens that they're really going in hard on the promotion for him being in Toronto. Like, your last time to see John Cena in Toronto, because they're going to be there for the Elimination Chamber. He could win the Chamber. And then he could challenge for a title at WrestleMania. And then he could lose. John Cena should not be winning number 17 at WrestleMania. The way you tell that story, because you do have him for the entire year. You want him to wrestle for a title at WrestleMania? Cool. He falls short. All hope is lost. He tried. He tried to win number 17 and he failed. He starts to doubt himself. He falls. He goes right back down to maybe not the bottom rung, but back down the ladder. He's got to work his way back up. He's got to work his way back into contention. He mentioned Money in the Bank, by the way. Some people may not be happy about this because they might feel like it's a waste of the briefcase, but if he doesn't succeed at WrestleMania, you could have him win Money in the Bank. Because my thing is, have him win number 17 at SummerSlam. If he wins Money in the Bank, he could call his shot in advance, and that's how he gets a championship match at SummerSlam. And there at MetLife Stadium, he wins number 17. So, I mean, there's a whole bunch of different ways you could go with this. but they've got many paths to what should be a great story. And because it is his final year, they'll have plenty of buy-in from the fans who are going to want to see him win number 17. And I think he should. I mean, look, they already call him the GOAT, right? That's how they market him. They market him as the greatest of all time. I don't think he's the greatest of all time. But obviously in WWE world, he is. He will go down as one of their all-time greats. I mean, he was the face of the company for years and years and years. Like, you think of different eras and time periods in WWE, right? The Hogan era, the Austin era, and you have the Cena era. And you could talk about how, they relied on him as their number one guy for too long, and other people that could have been pushed didn't get pushed, and all that may be true. But he will go down as one of their top stars of all time. And if they already call him the GOAT, then it only makes sense for them to make him the record holder and give him number 17. Doesn't have to be Ric Flair. We already know Ric Flair held like 21. It's not even a real number. It's the number they settled on. But it would be appropriate for them to go ahead and give Cena that record. So anyway, that's the John Cena story. He is officially in the Royal Rumble match. And we will see where that goes. The Judgment Day. Oh, now you just reminded me that they changed to shittier music, and now I'm depressed. Ian Noel, thank you for the $32 super chat. We didn't see the Judgment Day like Balor and McDonough and Carlito. We didn't see them tonight. But yes, if you missed it last week, they have new music, which is far worse than the Alter Bridge theme that they had before. Why you would change that, I have no idea, but they have new music now. They aired a Logan Paul promo video. He said that he's always been very good at this. Now, though, he's dedicating his life to it. And he said, no more side hustles, no more bullshit. He's going to be 100% a WWE superstar. It's the beginning of his era. And then they cut back live and they showed him sitting in the crowd. So yes, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. No more side hustles. No more part-time player. He's all in, 100% all in now on WWE. Well, I mean, except for, the Conor McGregor fight that he's trying to get done and the Mike Tyson fight that he's trying to get done. But other than that, he's 100% all in on WWE. Give me a break. So they showed various celebrities in the crowd. I mentioned this before, all throughout the night. They would come back from commercial and they would show different celebrities in the crowd because they were out in LA. Endeavor, they have their own talent agency. They have access to all kinds of celebrities. So they made sure this building was filled with celebrities, whatever level, A-list, B-list, D-list. They were all there in the crowd tonight. And they showed here Seth Green. Definitely not A-list, but former guest host. Wasn't he like the first? I think he might have been the first guest host from the guest host era of Raw. Seth Green was there. Love Robot Chicken. Fucking love it. My favorite Robot Chicken sketches always involved He-Man, Skeletor, like those guys. Oh, fucking hilarious. They showed Macaulay Culkin, WrestleMania 7 celebrity. If you know, you know. They showed Ice Cube's son, and Danielle Fishel, who, of course, played Topanga on Boy Meets World. I was offended by this. Now, I love Topanga, okay? Topanga was great. Although, when I was growing up, it was more Kelly Kapowski on Saved by the Bell. Although I had a thing for Lisa Turtle as well. But, loved Topanga. But, sitting directly next to her was Will Friedle. Will Friedle played the older brother, Corey's older brother, Eric, on Boy Meets World. He was on the same show. Totally no-sold him. Didn't put his name on the screen. Didn't even acknowledge him. He just looked like a fan sitting next to her. I'm like, the slander. The Eric Matthews slander. How dare they? Remember a few weeks ago, we were talking about random shit here, and somebody asked me about, we were talking movies, and I mentioned the movie Trojan War. It's like a small film from like 97, but it's like a guilty pleasure of mine. He was the star of that movie. And I'm like, holy shit, it's the star of Trojan War. He's sitting right there. Doesn't even get a credit. doesn't even get a mention on this show. The disrespect is just unbelievable. We had our second match of the night. Can you believe it? 2 matches. We were 90 minutes into the show. We're finally getting our second match of the night, with Rhea Ripley challenging Liv Morgan for the Women's World Championship. This was not Last Woman Standing. I don't know if they announced it as that and then they changed their mind, or if that was some sort of altered image that was circulating that fooled a lot of people. I was under the impression as of a few days ago it was going to be Last Woman Standing, but it was not. It was a regular match for the Women's Championship. Rhea jumped out to a quick start. Dom was out there. And Raquel, too. Dom grabbed her foot from ringside. Ripley, though, just shrugged it off and powerbombed Liv onto the announce desk, which did not break. I mean, it's Liv Morgan, so, I mean, it's not going to break. I would be surprised. If Liv Morgan got slammed on the announce desk and it broke, I would actually be surprised by that. So we come back from commercial, and Michael Cole tells us that Liv was dominating the action during the break. Rhea comes back, hits her Riptide finish. Liv kicks out. Ripley was stunned. She couldn't believe it. So Dom slides a chair into the ring and provides the distraction. Ripley knocks Dom off the apron, and then Liv hit Oblivion onto a chair. Covers her, gets a dramatic near fall. Rhea kicks out. So then Liv goes for the Three Amigos, and Michael Cole said that she's not doing it to pay tribute to Eddie Guerrero. She's doing it in a mocking way, in the way that Dom does, because, of course, he doesn't like Dom, and he always takes every chance he can to bury him on commentary. So after the Three Amigos, Liv goes up to the top rope, and she hits a frog splash for a 2 count. Ripley stuffed another Oblivion attempt and then slammed Liv hard down onto, I mean, she fucking just slammed her down onto that canvas. Then she hit Morgan with not 1 but 2 riptides and pinned her to win the title. So after the match, Dom gets into the ring. He's trying to sneak up on Rhea, but she sees him coming. And then, with nowhere to go, Dom puts his arms out for a hug. And Cole is like, oh, of course he wants to embrace Rhea Ripley now that she's the champion. So Rhea puts her belt down and she's smiling and looks like she's gonna go in for the hug. But instead she kicks him in the nuts, and then she sets him up for Riptide and she puts him down with it. So at long last, finally, this is over. This feud has come to an end, and it ended exactly the way that it should have, with a Riptide to Dom. I happen to think that it should have ended with a match. I do. I know they don't do male against female in WWE, but if ever there was a time for a special attraction match, Rhea against Dom, I'm still kind of bummed they didn't do it, because I think there was a lot of entertaining potential in doing that match. But this is the way it should have ended. It should have ended with Rhea finally, after all the teases, putting him down with a Riptide. They did it the right way. The problem is, you'll notice, like, the crowd popped, but it wasn't any, like, overwhelming reaction. For something they've been building to for so long, you would have thought that it would have gotten a much bigger reaction, and it didn't. And the reason it didn't is because they waited so long. They waited too long. This feud should have been blown off months ago. And I think that if they would have hit that spot, built to that spot 4 or 5 months ago, maybe even 3 months ago, I think it would have gotten an even bigger reaction than it got here on this show in this building. But they just kept milking it and waiting and teasing it. And you just get to a point where it's like, all right, the people are happy to see it, but they're not so happy to see it like they would have been a few months ago. That's what I think happened here. As Rhea was leaving, she was posing on stage, and there wasn't like an elevated stage. It was basically just in front of the set. But we heard the Undertaker's gong, and the lights went out. And then we heard, but it wasn't the dead man, because we heard Kid Rock, and it played him out to American Badass. And so we had American Badass Undertaker on the motorcycle come riding out. And Undertaker was one half of the very first main event on the very first episode of this show when it debuted in 1993. It was The Undertaker against Damien Demento. So here's The Undertaker on the Netflix premiere. He rides down the aisle, circles the ring, comes right back down the aisle. It was a short aisleway. Right back down the aisleway, he stops. There's Rhea standing there. They exchange some words, and then they both fist each other. Well, they put their fists in the air. They do the fisting ritual here that I don't know what to call it. It's the Undertaker's fisting ritual. The fuck else am I supposed to call it? He puts his fist in the air. So that's what Rhea did. She fisted with him, and then he gave her a high five, and that was it. It was like the Undertaker's endorsement here of Rhea Ripley, basically. And that was the end of that. That was the only Undertaker appearance. He didn't say anything. He didn't do anything else. He just came out to give her that little endorsement, and that was fine. What else are you supposed to call it? That's what it is. When he rides out there on the motorcycle, it's always, he does the same thing every time before he leaves. He puts his fist in the air. He looks back behind him. It's his fisting ritual. That's what I called it because that's what it is. Leave me alone. You people.
I am the Lord.
Shut the fuck up. Fuck that tree. You people are too much. You know that? Kathy Kelly was backstage, and she was waiting to talk to the Raw general manager, Adam Pearce, who was wrapping up a conversation with Bayley, who, of course, is a member of the SmackDown roster. No mention tonight, really, of the transfer window. Apparently, we are still in this transfer window, but there's not a whole lot being said about it. When does it end? We don't know. They've given us no clarity on this. But they were teasing that maybe Bayley is going to be moving over from SmackDown to Raw, which honestly for her wouldn't be the worst idea in the world because what the hell is she doing right now on SmackDown? She's not doing a damn thing. So off she went. Chad Gable, the Creed brothers, and Ivy Nile, American made, they walk in to talk to Adam Pearce. And Gable vows to him that he will win a singles championship for the first time in 2025. Look, I hope so. I'm a fan of Chad Gable's, but I mean, that's pretty funny. It should have happened a long time ago, but hey, it's nice to have goals, right? Jeff Jarrett, his goal is to become the AEW World Champion in 2025. If Jeff Jarrett wins a singles title in AEW before Chad Gable does in WWE, I don't know what to say, but it better not happen. Beyond that, though, he said that he was going to dispel the rumor that he has trouble with the luchadors. I wasn't aware of this being a problem. Apparently, evidently, this is something that is being, I guess, talked about behind the scenes in the locker room, that he has problems with luchadors. Okay, but he wants to dispel these rumors. He told Adam Pearce, go out and find the best luchador that you can for me to face one-on-one next week. And Pearce asked him if he was sure about that. And then he told Kathy Kelly, I've got to go make a phone call. We're getting Penta against Chad Gable next week. How fucking great is that? That's going to be fantastic. I can't wait for that. It's just weird, though, because was it last week when they had that backstage segment with Ray and the other members of the LWO and Kofi and Woods, where they were teasing a tag team match, and Ray accepted. He accepted the challenge, right? Or New Day, whoever made the challenge, it was accepted to a tag team match, but they did it in such a way where they made you think, okay, if you know Penta's coming in, it's like, that's got to be Penta, right? Because Woods was like, oh, so who's going to be your partner? Is it going to be this guy? Is it going to be Joaquin Wilde, Cruz del Toro, Zelina Vega? And it's like, all right, it's not going to be any of them. But then I thought it was happening tonight. There was no match tonight. They didn't announce it for next week. So did they change their mind? Because I think that would have been the perfect place to debut Penta. And now they're going in a totally different direction. So I'm not even sure that match is happening now. This is very strange. They aired footage of The Rock leaving the building, which they said he streamed live on his Instagram. So we got some grainy Instagram video of him in the gorilla position hugging Jimmy Uso and Paul Heyman. And Paul Levesque comes over and they hug and exchange some words. And then the second funniest moment of the night, behind Hogan being booed, they're standing there and Triple H goes for a handshake, puts his hand. Now, many of us have been in this situation before, at least one time probably in our lives, and it's embarrassing. But what's worse is that The Rock took this video and they put it on TV. So he's putting his hand out for a handshake, but Rock doesn't see it because Roman Reigns is coming over at that same moment to give him a hug. And so Triple H is left hanging here on television. He put his hand out for a handshake and The Rock left him hanging. How embarrassing. I had a hearty laugh. So they showed The Rock then in the parking garage area. He took a swig of his Terramana tequila. Then he greeted Travis Scott as he entered, and then he went over to Cody Rhodes again, and he and Cody they're buddy-buddy, right? He's giving a hug to Cody Rhodes. Then he leaves in his car. So he took a swig of his tequila before getting behind the wheel and driving away here on this show. But first, before that, he stopped to plug the fact that NXT is at the Shrine Auditorium tomorrow, he says. He says, I'll see you there. And then he drives off. So The Rock will be on NXT tomorrow night. I'm sure he's not going to do much. He'll probably do about as much as he did tonight, but he will be there. That's got to be his debut, right? Has Rock ever been on NXT before? I mean, Undertaker. I know Undertaker's been there. That big show when they went head-to-head with AEW in 2023, they loaded that show up. They had John Cena, they had The Undertaker, they had LA Knight. I don't think The Rock has ever been on NXT, though. So that'll be a first. They showed some more people, celebrities, and I use that word loosely, in the crowd. They showed Bill Simmons. He was sitting front row. They showed Vanessa Hudgens. She's definitely a star. They showed her. She's a big wrestling fan, big WWE fan. They showed her in the crowd. And then they cut. Oh, boy. Shut the fuck up. Of course, I talk about celebrities getting airtime, and this fucker has to pop up. The Learning Tree. Fuck that tree. There's David. I see David Thiering in the chat. Then they cut to a shot of Michelle McCool. And she stands up and, she gets some applause from the crowd and she's waving and smiling. And Michael Cole calls Michelle McCool one of the greatest female wrestlers in WWE history. I laughed harder than I did when The Rock left Triple H hanging on that handshake. She certainly is a former WWE superstar, a former WWE diva. She's definitely one of them. But I think we need to just pump the brakes a little bit. Okay? I know she was there and she was available, and so you want to put her over, and I know why they do it. Okay? I know why they do it. But these superlatives that you use, I just think they get thrown around way too easily. They showed Io Sky and Dakota Kai. They were sitting in the crowd. Lyra Valkyria was shown sitting next to Michelle McCool. And Michael Cole hyped that next week we're getting the finals of the tournament to crown the first ever women's intercontinental champion. It will be between Dakota Kai and Lyra Valkyria. And that should be a Lyra Valkyria win next week. That's my prediction there. We had Drew McIntyre one-on-one with Jey Uso. This is the point in the show where right before the match, this was right before Jay's entrance through the crowd, the camera is shooting one of the concourse levels of the crowd, and they zoom in, and here comes Travis Scott. And Travis Scott walks out, and he is smoking weed as he enters, which has to be a first, I think, for this show. Jey Uso joins him on the concourse, not smoking weed. It's not like they were passing it around or anything like that. So Jey made his entrance with Travis Scott following, and they come to ringside. They stop. They're shaking hands with Michael Cole and Pat McAfee. Michael Cole, by the way, at one point goes, all right, you know what? The hell with it. And so he joins Pat in standing up on, I don't know if he was on his chair or on the desk. I think he was on his chair, but he's standing up at the announce desk, basically on top of the table. And the two of them were just acting like total geeks. Like, I don't know what Cole was even doing. Like, when the fans do it, they're like, you know, they're going up and down, they're yeeting and all this. I don't know what Cole was doing. I don't know. He looked like maybe he had fucking ants in his pants or something. He had crabs. I don't know what was going on with this man. He was moving. You know, he was doing all kinds of, I don't know what the fuck he was doing. Some weird, again, maybe a fisting ritual of some kind. But I guess that's his way of yeeting and dancing with Jey Uso. So that's what Michael Cole was doing. So Drew McIntyre makes his entrance and doesn't even get in the ring. Jey hits him with a suicide dive. He goes for another one. McIntyre, though, stuffed it this time and then suplexed him on the floor. He rolls Jey into the ring, and the referee checks on Jey, and then finally he calls for the bell. McIntyre, he's in control until Jey hits a sit-out powerbomb out of the corner. And he follows that with a running hip attack and then a flying crossbody for a 2 count. McIntyre, though, responds with a neck breaker. How, are you giving Cole's dancing 10 out of 10? If you're going to give his dancing a 10 out of 10, I would hate to see your dancing. It'll be like the Elaine dance from Seinfeld. Yeah. You could call it dancing if you want to. I mean, it's certainly movement. I don't know if I'd call it dancing. You're definitely moving, or you're moving the body parts around. I don't know. We got to come up with a better word for it. Anyway, they traded counters a little bit later on until McIntyre hit a Future Shock DDT. Drew goes for the Claymore kick. Jey counters again, this time with a spear. He hits a super kick. McIntyre, though, connects with a Claymore, and he covers him. Only gets a 2 count. McIntyre goes for another Claymore kick. Jey just collapses before he could hit it. It's like he dropped dead in the middle of the ring. And McIntyre decides he's going to wait in the corner. He's going to wait for Jey to get up on his own, and then he's going to strike again. And when he finally charges out for the Claymore, Jey drops down. He gets a crucifix and gets the flash pin. And Jey Uso beats Drew McIntyre. A surprisingly heatless match is what this was. The crowd just, it sounded tired for it. Even though this was, what was this? This was only the 3rd match on the show. But there was so much other shit going on, not in the ring, that I think it would have felt to me like people wanted more action on this show. And maybe that's part of the reason why they were just tired. I don't know. I don't know, because the people like Jey Uso. And Drew McIntyre is great, and there should be heat to this, because this is a feud that's been, going on for a while. But it had almost no heat. Crowd was very quiet for large parts of this match. It was surprising. So it was a very average match. I hated the finish. I hated seeing Drew lose. But he got beat basically on a fluke. So they'll probably run this back, and the next time Drew probably will get his win back. But yeah, I was not a fan of this. Kathy Kelly was backstage.
Off is the direction you can fuck.
That's what I said about the outcome of that last match, and whoever booked it. Was not a fan of it. But Kathy Kelly was in the back, and she tried to interview Fluffy. Gabriel Iglesias, another big wrestling fan, he was there. But he was there because he's got his own Netflix special dropping on Thursday. So they plugged it, or Tuesday, I think. So they plugged it. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods interrupted. Kofi said that she should be talking to them, not this fluffy buffoon. Otis Tozawa, Maxine Dupree walked in, greeted Fluffy, who led a New Day sucks chant before he left. And Kathy then told New Day, "I'm sorry, we're out of time." So basically, New Day was relegated to the background this week, which honestly, they probably were going to be anyway. With everything else going on this show, like, it's hard for, like, anything in the middle of the card to break through. This is why, by the way, you could see why they chose to do the finals of the Women's Intercontinental title tournament next week. And maybe it's the same reason why they shifted Penta's debut. Maybe they were going to debut him and they thought better of it, but he's debuting next week and not this week. First of all, you don't want to blow your load in 1 week. You want to save some material for the following few weeks. But if you would have done some of this stuff on this show, it probably would have gotten drowned out by all this other bullshit and all the promotion and the celebrities and Punk and Cena and everything else that was going on, Rock. So maybe it's for the better, but I was hoping we would get something more than what we got with the New Day, and we didn't, and so that's too bad. That sucks. Roman Reigns was shown walking backstage while Paul Heyman was singing his praises. Heyman said, "We need a platform in which the whole world can acknowledge you." And Roman told him January 27th. And Heyman said January 27th. And the two of them walked into a room that had the WWE 2K25 logo on the door that they zoomed in on at the end of the segment. So apparently on January 27th, there's going to be, I guess, the official announcement of 2K25, which I guess usually we get that announcement right around this time of year. Something else is going on, by the way, on January 27th. According to Mike Johnson on PW Insider, Goldberg is coming back because WWE wants to spread things out with all of these different appearances and things they have planned. So at the moment, the plan is for Bill Goldberg to be on the January 27th episode of Raw, which is the final Raw before the Royal Rumble. And that would, of course, be when they're going to kick off whatever his final program is going to be, I presume leading to a match at WrestleMania, and that will be his retirement match. And Gunther is probably the leading candidate. I still think Braun Breaker is the way to go, but it'll probably be Goldberg and Gunther at WrestleMania. If that's the best they could come up with for Gunther, it's like, if it's a World Heavyweight Championship match, though, you know what? We'll get back to that. I think I see where things are going now, so we'll get back to that when we talk about the main event. But then came the most incredible segment of the entire night. We heard Real American. And whatever you want to say about Hulk Hogan and what he's become over the years, same thing with Flair. Two guys who should have been wrestling royalty, and should have been remembered as wrestling royalty, two of the biggest stars in the history of the business, which they are. Nobody can ever take that away from them, but over the last 20 years, 15 years, whatever, just for various reasons and various stories and various just lies and bullshit and just embarrassing situations, they have tarnished their legacies in the eyes of many. And it has worn on the crowds because the crowds have not been positively responsive to Hogan on these shows now for a number of years. And I mentioned WrestleMania 37 at the beginning of this review. That's one of the classic examples. They were in Tampa, no less. Again, Hogan is from Tampa, and he still got booed. So I knew what was coming when I heard that Hogan was going to be on the show. I thought maybe they were going to have him in a backstage segment. But they played Real American, and he walked out onto the staging area. And he had Jimmy Hart with him, and Jimmy Hart had the American flag, and he's waving it back and forth. Hogan could barely walk, by the way. He's walking like Tanahashi these days. It was painful to watch him walk out. He walks out, and he is being booed. I don't mean like scattered boos. Like, he is being booed. Whatever cheers there are, and there were cheers, are drowned out by the boos. Real American is playing. He's posing. He's cupping the ear, right, brother? He's got the shades on. The skin is sagging, right? It's Hogan. And he's got his Real American beer that he's promoting there. Hogan begins, he does his usual catchphrase. Crowd continues to boo as if this man just gave Cody Rhodes a fucking package pile driver. He talked about, I've been in this business for 40 years, brother. He said the best part was being a part of the WWE. Well, said the fans have been my greatest tag team partner because you've stuck with me through thick and thin. So that he tried to put over his new beer, and they continued to boo. Now, of course, now he's going into plug mode, where he's going to plug his fucking beer. So, I mean, what did you expect was going to happen, right? Of course, the boos got even more intense. So then he tries to put over Netflix, and the fans continue to boo. He rips his shirt off to reveal underneath a Netflix Gets Raw t-shirt underneath. And then he posed as Jimmy Hart continued to wave the flag in the background, and the fans continued to boo. This was amazing. This was, yes, they were saying boo earns, boo earns. No, they were saying, fuck you, get off my television and get out of the building. That's what they were saying. These people had no patience or tolerance for this. They did not want to see him. They did not want to hear from him. And they certainly don't want to drink his fucking beer. And I'm just like sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, like, how did they not expect? Like, maybe they didn't expect it was going to be quite that negative. But like, how did they not expect that it was not going to be something like that? Unless they knew and they didn't care and they set him up on purpose. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they set him up to fail on purpose. But my funniest takeaway from this, and again, shout out to Steve for this, was the closed captions picked up on how loud the boos were. And as he's standing there, and in this image, in this moment, you look and you wonder, what is going through his mind right now? It says crowd booing. Even the closed captions could not escape the booing. This is already like one of the top segments of 2025. Like, I was amazed by this entire thing. Oh man. What else is there to say? That will probably be the last time. I would think that would be the last time we'll see Hogan on Raw, but we got Saturday night's main event coming up at the end of this month. And he's in the commercial hyping up Saturday night's main event on January 25th. They're going to be in San Antonio. I hope he's there. I hope Hogan is on that show because Jesse Ventura will be there. And if Jesse Ventura happens to be on commentary for that segment, which he probably won't be, but if he is, if they let Jesse just do what Jesse does, I would pay money. I would pay money to listen to the commentary and the words that come out of that man's mouth if he is sitting there and Hogan comes out and gets booed on Saturday night's main event. If Jesse was watching this show, you know he's sitting at home. He's sitting there, and and he's just big smile on his face. He's having the time of his life. Hogan and Jesse, the rivalry that will never die. Then we got to the main event. I mean, there was no topping this. There was no topping this. It's like the people that had to follow Kenny Omega and Gabe Kidd at the Tokyo Dome this weekend. I felt bad for them. I felt bad for Zach and Ricochet. But we had CM Punk one-on-one against Seth Rollins. Punk, by the way, was wearing the same jacket with the triple X on the back that he was wearing when he tried to kill Jack Perry backstage at Brawl In. It's his lucky jacket. So they get in the ring. They stand in opposite corners. They're going for that big fight feel moment, right? Where the crowd is just buzzing and the crowd is going crazy. The only problem is they weren't. The crowd was very lukewarm. We talk about how sometimes they have a match and, it's got a big fight feel. This didn't have a big fight feel. And again, I don't know if it was just that they were tired. I don't know. Because there was certainly a personal issue built up between these two. You can't say there wasn't.
Gunther, the Magnificent. All hail Gunther.
You can't say there wasn't a personal issue built up between these two men. That's one thing you can say. Hey, David Thiering. Thank you for the $50, brother. Holy shit. I see that we hit our extra goal tonight, too, so we're going to be doing a bonus Be the Booker. That's what I like to see. David, thank you. And everybody else, too. I'm going to be getting to your messages here, so don't go away. But yeah, it was just weird because the crowd did not seem as amped up for this as they should have been at the beginning of this. Now, they got into it the later it went, thankfully. But at the beginning, they just were not all there. So they met in the middle of the ring. They start trading punches. Now the fans are starting to cheer a little bit. Punk clotheslines Rollins over the top rope out to the floor. Punk jumps over the top rope. He's trying to do a plancha, crossbody, whatever it is. But Rollins avoided it. Every time Punk does something like that, like as he landed, I was like, oh God, like don't break your ankle or something. You know, he's been able to stay healthy since he came back. And there are a lot of big money matches for him, WrestleMania this year. So if you're WWE, you just got to hold your breath because we know what happened a year ago, and this would be the absolute worst possible time for him to get hurt, for anybody to get hurt. But, you know, with Punk, he's got an injury history, and you have to be worried about that. But he's been able to stay healthy so far, so knock on wood. Back in the ring, Punk made a comeback after Rollins had taken over on him. He hoisted up Rollins for the go to sleep. Rollins elbowed his way out of it and then hit Punk with shots to the back of the head. Got some boos for that. Rollins and the referee, Eddie Orengo, they start arguing. And Michael Cole is crediting the referee because up to this point, Rollins has been, you know, going a little overboard. This is not a no disqualification match, and the referee has shown some restraint, and so he's putting the referee over for doing so. Punk goes back on the offensive. He gets Rollins on the top rope, and he executes a neck breaker off the top rope. And both men were down heading into the final commercial break for us U.S. viewers on this show. All you international people out there, you just kept watching the match, I guess. Rollins ran to a corner. Punk followed, hit him with a high knee, did the same move in the other corner. Punk put Rollins down with a neck breaker, and then he played to the crowd, and he signaled for the go to sleep. Referee checked on Rollins, who was on the apron. Punk grabbed Rollins and gave him a neck breaker over the ropes. Punk goes for a crossbody off the top, and Rollins rolls through, muscles him up, hoists Punk onto his shoulders, and he hits him with Punk's own GTS finish. And Punk rolls out of the ring. He's down on the floor outside. So he had presence of mind at least to roll out to the floor. They replayed the GTS, by the way, and it looked like that shit hit flush. So Rollins follows him to the floor and he starts gloating. I hit your move, they sing my song. And he says, I built all of this. I built all of this. Yeah, I still have people telling me, how is Rollins the heel in this? Like, because I said, if this continues on, and if we're going to end up with a heel, if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be Seth Rollins. And I have people telling me, oh, that's stupid. How are you going to say that Rollins is the heel in this? Tell me that you didn't see Rollins here on the outside going, I built all of this. This is all mine. I did that. You're going to tell me that you can't see Rollins being the heel in this, right? Are you fucking blind? Of course he's going to be the heel in this. Punk has more fans than he does. So he's going to be the heel regardless. But if this continues and anybody goes full on heel, it ain't going to be CM Punk. It's going to be Seth Rollins. You need to wake up. Because that's what he was acting like here. He gets Punk back in the ring. Punk, though, catches him with a stomp on the way back in. Hey, turnabout is fair play, right? He hit him with his finishing move, so he hits Rollins with his. He covers him. Rollins kicks out. So now Punk sets up for the GTS. Rollins, though, catches his leg on the way down before he could hit the knee strike. He gets Punk back up on his shoulders. He hits a second GTS. Using Punk's move again, and again he covered him, and Punk kicked out. So now Seth sets up for the stomp. Punk wisely rolls him out of the ring, or wisely rolls out of the ring, I should say. Rollins follows him outside, and he yells, run away. Run away like you always do. Run away like you did 10 years ago. You know, at some point, you got to let it go. I'm just saying. At some point, you got to let it go, bro. You got to let it go, bro. It's old news. He gets Punk on top of the announce desk. Punk, though, gets him up for a GTS. Rollins slips out, and then he hits a weak-looking pedigree on top of the table, which does not break. Rollins sold, though, that he may have hurt his knee. Didn't really factor into anything after this. He gets Punk back in the ring. He hits a proper pedigree. He covers Punk. Punk kicks out. That's 2 GTSs and 2 pedigrees, one of which was on top of the announce desk, and Punk kicked out. With John Cena in the building, Punk was channeling his inner Super Cena here on this show. I've never seen him kick out of so many big moves in one match in my life. I mean, I think I'm kind of numb to it in AEW because we see it all the time, but with Punk, I don't usually see him kicking out of so many big moves here. So the two of them, they're exchanging slaps from their knees. Then it turned into a slugfest on their feet. Punk went for the running high knee in the corner again as he did earlier, but Seth caught him. And then he delivered a buckle bomb. And you got to be careful when you do this. Got to be careful. It didn't work out too well for Sting. He gave him the buckle bomb. And then he hit the stomp. And he made the cover, and Punk was close enough to the ropes, he got his feet on the ropes. So he technically didn't kick out, but he was able to break the count. And now the crowd came alive. This is the moment in this match, more than any other single moment, where the crowd really started to react and come alive. And we had loud chants of "This is awesome." Rollins put Punk on the top rope. He climbed up with him, but he got knocked back down to the mat. Rollins is seething now. So he charges, he runs into the corner, scales the ropes, delivers a superplex. Now, we've seen him do this before. Typically, he'll hit a superplex, roll through into a Falcon Arrow. He hits the superplex. As he goes to roll through into a Falcon Arrow, Punk counters, though. He gets him up in a GTS position, and he hits the GTS. And Rollins sort of stumbles around a little bit and almost like just kind of falls into Punk. And Punk picks him up for a second GTS, and he connects, and he covers Rollins, and he gets the 3 count to put him away. And Rollins had a streak of blood that was on the right side of his face as he was laying there. I didn't see how it happened. It was like by his cheek or his cheekbone, just like one single streak of blood. So however, maybe it happened on the GTS, I don't know, but he's laying there, and that's how they went off the air. You know, Punk was selling like he was in a battle. You know, he was selling like he was hurt. That's kind of his normal look at the end of all of his matches. He kind of holds your breath, but I think he's fine. And he celebrated as they went off the air, and that was the end of the first episode on Netflix, which felt like a special episode because of all the big names, right? It's not often that we get Roman Reigns wrestling on TV. It's not often we get CM Punk wrestling on TV. In fact, the last time we saw CM Punk wrestling on Raw, you'd have to go back 11 years. He wrestled Billy Gunn. That was the last time we saw CM Punk in a match on this show. So because of that, and we had a women's world title change, even Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley doesn't wrestle very often on these shows. Every now and then. Like, we got to see people in action on TV who normally we do not. And so that made it feel special. The biggest Raw of all time, most definitely as far as all of the promotion and hype, you know, that went into it, for sure. For all the talk, by the way, about the length of the show, how long is it going to go? We don't have a runtime. And then earlier today, WrestleVotes had a tweet saying that the show was planned to go up to 3.5 hours. They were going to go 3.5 hours tonight. And I was like, oh, God, please. No mas. No mas. We just had 3 hours of SmackDown on Friday. I had 9 hours of the Tokyo Dome, please. I don't need 3.5 hours of Raw. It did not go 3.5 hours. It went a few minutes past 11 o'clock. So basically like a very small overrun, which is fine. Although I would argue if you got 3 hours, you don't need an overrun, but it was like 2 or 3 minutes. So it really wasn't a big deal. You know, I said it at the top. Tonight, what it felt like more than anything else, and we did not get any real surprises or big major angles or twists and turns or anything like that. But what it felt like was this was the culmination. This was the ending to multiple stories on this show. Roman Reigns got back his Ulafala. He vanquished Solo Sikoa. Rhea Ripley got back her Women's World Championship. She vanquished Liv Morgan. CM Punk, he beat Seth Rollins and shut him up. Hard for me to believe that that's going to be the end of it. We'll find out. But he beat him clean. There was no drama as far as, any sort of interference or he cheated to win or the referee but there was no controversy about it. He simply was the better man, and he beat Rollins and that was the end of it. So it felt like, okay, we're going to end the chapter here for some of these stories and transition now into a new direction for them heading into WrestleMania. We just didn't get any clarity on what that WrestleMania direction is going to be. But that will play out in the weeks to come. That's what makes January and February and this time of year usually fun to follow and fun to watch because we are heading into some of the biggest shows of the entire year. Now, after the show was over, on the post-show, Jackie Redmond was interviewing CM Punk while he was still leaving. He was coming down the aisle. He was just leaving the ring, and he was all fired up. And he said, "Gunther, I'm coming for you. Cody, I'm coming for you. I'm Mr. October. I am clutch. I am the best in the world." And he also dedicated his match tonight to TNA star Chris Bay, who is still recovering from a broken neck, and also to Chad Gilbert of the band Newfound Glory, who is a friend of his who, from what I gather, has been battling cancer for a number of years. So he made those dedications as well. My first thought before I even heard about Punk name-dropping Gunther and Cody was, how does this not make Gunther number one contender for the World Heavyweight Championship? He just beat Seth Rollins, one of the biggest stars on Raw. I mean, if he's not next in line for Gunther, then I don't know who is. Gunther already beat Damian Priest. Who's next? He beat Damian Priest and Finn Balor. Who else is he going to defend the world title against? If not CM Punk. So I'm thinking that should be the World Heavyweight title match for the Royal Rumble, but Punk would then not be in the Rumble match. But you do that title match at the Rumble. Now, the moment I kind of realized earlier as I was talking and I was mentioning Goldberg, I could envision a scenario where we get Punk and Gunther at the Royal Rumble. Punk beats him and wins the World Heavyweight Championship. Punk can go on to defend the World Heavyweight title against Seth Rollins. This program with Rollins is not over. I don't believe for a second that it's over. You do this at the Royal Rumble, Punk wins the title. Rollins ends up challenging Punk at WrestleMania for the championship and winning. Taking the title off Gunther then frees him up to wrestle Goldberg and retire him at WrestleMania. And it would suck for Gunther to take the belt off him, and then the consolation prize is, hey, here's Goldberg in a 4-minute match at WrestleMania. Like, that fucking sucks. I could definitely see it working out that way, though. And so that way, that would allow Punk and Rollins, who had a really good match tonight. I actually thought the match was really good. I enjoyed it. It was a fun match. Run it back at WrestleMania, but this time for the World Heavyweight Championship, which is what they were going to do this year, only this time Punk would be the defending champion and Rollins would be the challenger. Rollins could go heel, he could win the title, and you could get another match out of it after that. But like I look at that, to me, that's the thing that makes the most sense. Even though we keep hearing Roman and Punk is being discussed. Roman and Punk might be the direction. But if they do Roman and Punk and you occupy Roman that way, it just makes things harder for me to envision for some of the other folks as far as the WrestleMania card is concerned. So nothing is set in stone. Anybody who tells you they know what the WrestleMania matches are going to be are fucking lying to you, but it becomes a little bit clearer for me to see a situation where Gunther doesn't make it to WrestleMania as the champion and gets Goldberg in a non-title match, because Goldberg does not need to be wrestling for a championship at WrestleMania. Under no circumstances should he or does he need to be wrestling for a title at WrestleMania. Raw next week is going to have the finals of the Women's US, or Women's IC title tournament, rather. Dakota Kai against Lyra Valkyria. Sheamus is wrestling Ludwig Kaiser. Chad Gable is going to wrestle a mystery luchador named Penta. And Damian Priest, it was announced, is going to be wrestling Finn Balor in a street fight. And hopefully that will be the culmination of their feud. Because again, I don't see a way that you can stretch this to WrestleMania and keep it interesting. So that sounds like a blow-off to me next week between those two. And we still have to see how things are going to play out with Balor and the Judgment Day, because it just seems like they're not quite on the same page. And if Balor loses to Priest, Liv just lost her title. I don't know. What does that say about the future of the Judgment Day? But they just got new music, though. New shittier music. So if they were going to break them up, why would they get new music? See, that tells me they're not going to break up. But maybe Dom will end up leading the Judgment Day. I floated that idea a few weeks ago. I think it might work out that way. What did you think of the first Raw on Netflix? Let's go to the polls. And according to you guys, with almost 3,000 votes in, 65% thumbs up, 24.5% thumbs in the middle, 10% thumbs down for tonight's show. Hey, Wayne Jr. just subscribed to the channel. Hey, Wayne. What is that face that he's making? What, did he shit his pants? Not you, Wayne. I'm talking about Drake.
It's the amazing Gunther. Jerry Lawler loves Gunther the Magnificent. All hail Gunther.
I am not commenting on Wayne's bowel functions. I don't want him to immediately turn around and unsubscribe. Thank you for the Gunther bomb that just came in. How about that? We got ourselves a $50 Gunther bomb from M. Mills and David, and got a bunch of them. We're going to get through those here in a minute. In fact, we're going to get through them right now. What did you guys think of the very first Raw on Netflix now that it's in the books? It's over. It's done. Punk won. Roman won. Rhea got her belt back. Hogan got booed. The Rock just kind of showed up and said hello and didn't do much else. So chime in and let me know. What did you think of the show? As I go through your super chats here. And I say thank you to the 2,500, nearly 2,600 plus that were joining us and are still mostly with us here.
I am the learning.
Shut the fuck up. Well, the Learning Tree heard a big audience, so of course he had to crash the party here. Fuck that tree. Fucking glory hog, this guy. Better to be a glory hog than a glory hole, I suppose. The real CSO2 says, with Saudi getting the Royal Rumble next year, I think WrestleMania 42 is going to be held at Wembley. It's possible. I could see that. I definitely think Wembley is going to get a big WWE show. And SummerSlam is already occupied for the next 2 years, right? It's in New York this year, or New Jersey, I guess. They'll call it New York, but 26 is in Minneapolis. So cross SummerSlam off the list. Royal Rumble is in Saudi next year. That leaves WrestleMania. Right? If you want to give the UK one of the biggest possible shows, it don't get no bigger than that. You may be right. Josh Carlos, Undertaker wrapping up his wrist tape to kick Hogan's ass backstage. My neck, brother. You got me, brother. Yeah, that story will never get old. Donnie Yasu, poor Jimmy Hart doing his best out there. Yeah, I can never bring myself to boo Jimmy. I know, I know, you know, look, he chooses to go out there with Hogan and be his lackey and all that, but I'm sure Hogan pays him well. But, Jimmy is just the ageless wonder. You know, Hogan walks out there with those knees and the back and everything, and he looks like he's fucking 90 years old. Jimmy is legitimately 80 years old, and you would never know. You would never know by looking at the guy. He truly is the ageless wonder. These are some of the early ones, by the way. That's why you don't see them on screen. I'm going to cycle through the early ones first. Tracking problem says Hogan went from 24-inch pythons to having 2 4-inch garden snakes. Yeah, but that's what happens when you get old. If he still had 24-inch pythons at his age, I don't think that would be good for his heart. The real Blair Dior. Pentagon is definitely facing Gable next week. Absolutely he is. I'm a little worried, though. I'm a little worried that he might get a Def Rebel special. So I've got my fingers crossed here. Don't fuck this up. Don't fuck this up. Please don't give him shitty music. Chris, The Rock is definitely up to something, and F. Hogan. The Rock, I thought the same thing, but I don't know. I think The Rock is up to something, but he definitely didn't tip his cap tonight as to what that is. He didn't show his cards. Pisco95. So Final Boss Rock and his potential match with Cody is over. And with Roman too, it seems. That segment, post-Mania, and the Bad Blood ending were basically for nothing. What a huge letdown. We still have to let it play out. But yes, it does feel like that post-WrestleMania segment was a gigantic waste of time. Unless he's just lulling Cody Rhodes into a false sense of security and he's waiting for the right moment to drop the bomb on him. Maybe he'll come out at number 31 in the Royal Rumble. You want to get heat. John Cena wins the Rumble or thinks he's won the Rumble. The Rock enters at number 31 because he's on the board and he can do that. And he eliminates John Cena to win. And then he immediately says, Cody Rhodes, I choose you. Like Pikachu. And then we get Cody and Rock at WrestleMania. See, if they do that, all is forgiven. Because that would actually be... Not that I necessarily want to see The Rock win the Royal Rumble, but if they did it that way, where Cena thinks he won and people think Cena won, but then The Rock abuses his power to enter the Rumble and then dumps him out, so he doesn't even have to do any work. Like, that would be... That would be a pretty incredible ending. Tracking problems, but the super chat says Hulk Haggard. Yeah. Marquand, 1976. Good news. Today is my birthday. Bad news. 364 days to go to the 5-0. Well, you're not there yet. You have another year, so don't think about it. Happy birthday, Marquand. Carlos Galvan. Just left the show, and it was great. Channeled my inner Tony Khan, screaming CM Punk. Catch the stream soon. Have a good night, y'all. Thank you, Carlos. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. We've got Oz Inglorious coming in with a $5 super chat. Stopping by to say fuck the Fed, Hogan, Vince, Magataker, Rock, Kane, Endeavor, Punk, Logan Paul, and every other Crown Prince bootlicker. Love you, Solo. Thank you, Oz. Always the opinionated one. Very appreciative of your patronage. Thank you, sir. Joseph with the $5 super chat. Send me an email, brother. I'm not dealing with that right now. I'm in the middle of a show. Any Facebook group business, send me a message and we'll try to address that separately. Ed, Kylie, Netflix actually had crowd booing in the subtitles during the Hogan's. Yes, I showed the screenshot. I felt bad for Jimmy Hart being stuck out there with him. Yeah, I mean, who could boo Jimmy Hart? I can never bring myself to boo Jimmy Hart. Can't do that. Bones Jones was there live. $200 for my high nosebleed seat. Welcome to the Endeavor era. This is the TKO era of WWE. This is how it's going to be from now on. Chris Ludek with the $12 super chat says, so from now on, will Jacob Fatu shout, I still love you, Solo? You're still my tribal chief, or will he no longer acknowledge him as such? You know what he should do is they come out on Friday night.
Amazing Gunther. Jerry
hold
Lawler
on here.
loves Gunther the Magnificent. All hail Gunther.
M. Mills with the $50 Gunther bomb, no message.
It's the amazing Gunther.
Oh boy.
Jerry Lawler loves Gunther the Magnificent. All hail Gunther.
M. Mills and David going back to back. Like Juan Soto will be doing with other members of the Mets many times this season coming up. I think we'll see that hopefully playing out. M. Mills, thank you very much. And again, these are cycling through now, so David, I will get to your message here in a little bit. But what I was going to say, Chris, is on Friday, you have Jacob go, I no longer love you, Solo. And then he just fucking murders him in the middle of the ring. Some variation of that. It has to happen. It has to. It just wouldn't make sense otherwise for them to continue to follow him around like lapdogs. The guy is a loser. There has to be consequences for this. I think we'll see that play out on Friday night. Nah, maybe. Says, gotta love those Hogan boobs. Have I had enough of Gunther yet? No, I never get enough of Gunther. Alfonso, that Liv Morgan shimmy is a cure for my cold. Is it just me, or did they overuse the drone shots? Got motion sickness. Yeah, I think it's cool, but like, yeah, they definitely love their drone shots. That's for sure. Ease up on the drone shots. They're going to lose their appeal if you just do them every other segment. Doesn't seem as cool anymore. Plus Ultra Adrian. It was a good watch. Raw at 5 p.m. on the West Coast. Yeah, again, it's different because now it's airing live in every time zone.
YEET.
Look at this guy. Look at these fucking geeks. Libido Bell. Hogan says brother with the hard R. With the hard R. Oh, man. That's why he got booed. Oh, Nikki Bella was there. I didn't even mention that. We got Brie mode here, but Brie was not there. Nikki Bella was there. They showed her in the crowd, so... Yes, I neglected to mention her. Dev to Dust, Solomonster gives me Larry Bird energy. Okay. I'm glad. Sean D, Rock showed up as a board member, my brother. It felt like it. That's exactly what he was. He was corporate Rock. He was TKO board member Dwayne Johnson. In a vest. Uffman Entertainment, Rock was all chummy with Cody months after trying to kill him next to his bus. Weird. Unless he's setting him up. I hope so. Because otherwise, that was just fucking dumb. NWO Matt, from the WWE Universe to Hogan, off is the direction you can fuck. Thank you, Matt. Jazz Jackrabbit. Happy New Year, Solo. Netflix loved Raw so much they're considering a 16-episode series to showcase every one of Ric Flair's retirement matches. They could do a miniseries, too, showcasing his wives. Saint-like Media. Rank these Raw matches. Foley's first title win, Triple H and X-Pac against the Radicals and Too Cool Rock and Foley. Cena against HBK in London, and Cena against Punk in the Piledriver match. I mean, all great moments. Foley's first title win is a great moment. As a match, it's a very forgettable match. All anybody remembers is the ending. Like, I'll put that at the bottom just because if I'm ranking them as matches, I put that dead last. For me, I am going the 10-man tag. The crowd really helped make that match, but I love that match. That match is so much fun. I'm going with that, and then the pile driver match, and then Cena and Shawn in that 55-minute match. But at the bottom of the list, I put Foley's first title win. Demetrius Hodge with the 10. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't the New Day supposed to face Ray and a partner tonight? They never announced it officially, but yeah. And there was no mention of it for next week either, so they may have dropped it. Very weird. George Seckman with the $5 super chat. Hogan getting booed out of the building as soon as he started talking is my moment of the year. Great pop for his music, and then the crowd turned. Well, yeah, because the music is great. Real American is my favorite theme song of all time. Regardless of who's attached to it. It's just fucking great. But you could hear the boos even as the music was playing when he walked out there. Justin G. Boo Real American Beer out of the building, brother. It's exactly what they did. Maybe they just don't like the beer. Maybe his beer is so bad that the crowd decided we have to boo him in unison. Derek J. speaks. Cody must be a very forgiving person, much like how Rock was so forgiving of Hogan at WrestleMania 18 after the NWO tried to murder him. I mean, he literally ran into him with a 18-wheeler. And then at WrestleMania, Rock is celebrating after the match is over and he's cupping his ear. He is a very forgiving person. NWO Matt says, off is the direction you can fuck too, Nick. You talking about Nick Hogan or Nick Khan? Matt, thank you for the 22. King Nader with the $50 bomb. $50 for Hogan getting booed. Thank you. That's like, what is that? Probably 6 or 7 Real American beers. Jazz Jackrabbit, Hulk Hogan to Jimmy Hart backstage. Wow, they really didn't like you, brother. Jimmy, I think I might have to, yeah, Jimmy's like his heat shield. He could just blame Jimmy. Can't do that. Ian Noel. Great show, had fun, but some weird things. KO interfered in the tribal combat match where were Drew McIntyre and Jey Uso? Apparently they were getting ready for their match because neither one of them interfered. Said they were more likely to interfere than Cody and KO. Well, but they wanted to get them on the show. That was their way of getting them on the show and getting Cody to get in the ring and do something. Punk and Rollins was great. All baby faces won tonight. Yeah, they hit the reset button on a lot of these programs. So the baby faces went over, and now it's just on to whatever is going to be next. Chris AXC, is Rollins the gatekeeper of WWE? It feels like it, doesn't it? Right? I mean, he was Cody's first program when he came back to the company. He was going to be Punk's first program before Punk got hurt. I think he is the gatekeeper of WWE. Justin G, biggest gate and a lot of empty seats. What are your thoughts? I noticed it was weird because in the building they had those weird red lights, like those dots. And it was very distracting because I would look at parts of the crowd and it looked like seats were like blacked out. I don't know. It might have just been the lights throwing me off. I saw some empty seats. I didn't see too many empty seats. They were legitimately close to completely sold out tonight. Duff's Vids, lesson from Hogan. Don't say the N-word, brother. Not talking about Netflix. Thank you, Solo. Thank you, Duffs. Chris AXC, Nikki Garcia is Nikki Bella again. The power of the money. Well, when she's on WWE, she's allowed to be Nikki Bella. That's how it works. Josh Worthington, what are your thoughts on seeing Cole and Pat doing the yeet dance during the entrance of Jey Uso? I thought it was funny, but a cool bromance. I think it makes them look infinitely uncool. But maybe that's just me. He can yeet from his seat. Cole should never stand up on the desk ever again. I thought for sure he was going to fall. He was going to lose his balance and fall. Retro KOH, Triple H saying face, heel, work, and shoot in that intro was wild. Curtain call be damned. All in all, fun episode of Raw, nothing amazing though. Well, it shouldn't surprise you that the guy that was part of the curtain call is using heel and face in a video package on TV. Chris AXC says AJ Styles in the main event scene. Never again? No, not never again. He will be in the main event scene again. If nothing else, they will tell that story when he is near the end of him wanting one more run and one more title. Very much like they're doing with Cena now, but I'm thinking that's 2026, 2027. AJ Styles, not only do I think AJ Styles will be in the main event scene again, I think AJ Styles will be WWE champion one more time before it's all said and done. Ian with the 12 says, since you talked about Triple H being possibly replaced in the future, do you think the TKO would have separate heads of creative for each of Raw, SmackDown, and Netflix? Why he means NXT. Have variety between the shows. I don't know if they want variety. I think they want uniformity as far as having one singular creative force. It might, be more organized for them to have one person that sort of oversees everything and just has an army of people underneath them. I don't know. I can't, I'm not part of the brain trust at Netflix. And Triple H is not going anywhere anytime soon. I'm just saying, it's a very different corporate structure now. And whereas before, Vince, who knows? Vince basically fired Shane, when he sent him home after that Rumble. It's not like he wouldn't fire family. But there was a certain security that was there that now is not. Now it's truly is like a corporate entity now. And I'm telling you, the minute that there's a business downturn and things start falling off, which at some point will happen, he's going to be on the firing line. He's going to be right there, front and center. Probably even more so than Nick Khan. And even if they don't fire him, would they demote him? Would they bring somebody else if they feel like they need a creative shakeup to kind of work with him? Just what we need, right? A booking committee like WCW had. But it could happen. It's possible. And so I think in his mind, the more he can make WWE all about Paul Levesque and the Paul Levesque era, the more ingrained he is with the brand. It makes it a little more difficult, I think, because he's not just some faceless guy behind the scenes who you could just easily replace and people would never know. He's a part of the brand. This is his era now. Acorn Smokes 420. What a name. First time asking, are you surprised that Anthem, TNA selling WWE tickets? Do you think WWE would sell Slammiversary 2025 tickets? Eric Bischoff said yes, and he answered the same question as a partnership deal. Am I surprised that Anthem selling I don't know what you're talking about. Is this something that broke today that I missed? Well, if that is happening, I would be surprised, but I'm not sure about the context here. So it's the first I'm hearing of this. Ian says, with you saying that Triple H could be replaced in the future, well, we just did that one. Thank you, Ian. He might be showing up twice. Jeremy Rose with the 22. Corporate Rock was lame. Where was Final Boss? Kissing Cody and Roman's ass was so Dwayne. We need more New Day. Kofi with the no mustache and beard look. These guys are going all in. Finally, Jacob Fatu beats down Solo on Friday. I hope so. I'm expecting it, and I will be very disappointed if it doesn't happen. Ricky Cornflakes, where is Penta? If I don't see Cero Miedo, I'm going to get very pissy. He's going to be there next Monday, so don't piss just yet. Hold your piss in for the next week, and you will get Penta on the show next week. RDS Harry, I'm glad I spent my birthday on your stream. Much love to you, Brother Solo. God bless. Everybody wish Harry a very happy birthday. You didn't tell me how old you are, but Harry, I hope you had a great birthday. And thank you for spending part of it with me. Justin G, I can't be the only one wondering why Keith Lee and Rikishi were clearly out in the crowd with Cody, but not out in the ring during tribal combat. There was a guy, I know what guy you're talking about. He didn't remind me of Rikishi, though. I just thought it was a member of the bloodline, like just a member of the extended family who just, look, I mean, a lot of them live out there on the West Coast, out in California. You have a lot of Samoans who live out there in that area. Justin also says Rock and Roman was a make good for the 2015 Rumble. 10 years ago. Can you believe it? What a difference 10 years can make. David Thering with the $50 Gunther bomb. Here's another 50 for Hogan getting booed. Honestly, I found that funny tonight. You and me both. I found it more funny that they might have expected that it would be any different than it went. They can't possibly be that tone deaf. I wonder if they'll pull what WWE did back in '92 when Hogan got eliminated from the Rumble by Sid and he got cheered. Sid got cheered for eliminating Hogan. And then on Saturday Night's Main Event a few weeks later when they replayed it, they dubbed over it and they put boos in. Boos for Sid when he eliminated Hogan. I wonder on the Netflix replay if they'll substitute the boos for cheers. Acorn Smokes 420. Thank you for the channel membership. Nick Grasso with the 50. Nick Grasso also coming in hot with the Gunther bomb. Look at this. No Becky on the show. Surprising. I guess they are saving her for the Royal Rumble. I would love, I too would like to see Becky return as a heel or a new character because she really needs it. But what does she do at WrestleMania? I just really hope they don't run back her and Rhea. Becky Lynch against Lyra Valkyria for the Intercontinental title. That would be different. And it would keep her out of the women's world title picture for a while. Justin G, buy, sell, rent. Omos, Tongaloa, and Hikuleo. Well, I gotta buy on Omos. Guy's one half of the GHC Tag Team Champions now. He pinned Marufuji. I gotta go with Omos. And then Hikuleo, and then Tongaloa. Tongaloa superfan is not going to be happy about hearing me say that, though. Devin from New Jersey. Buy or sell more historic Raw? Raw 1000 or Raw on Netflix? Raw on Netflix. It's just so much bigger now than it was then. So much more money involved. And it's just a bigger deal than that show was. That show is just a number. You know, this represents just a whole new era of the show as far as it being off television and it being on streaming, you know, which has never been done before. Mark Jackson. I'm confused. I live in the USA and I did not get any commercials, no VPN either. It just faded for a second and the action resumed or a segment aired. Well, where do you live? Because I need to look into property there, I think, because I didn't hear that from anybody. That's the first I'm hearing that anybody domestically without a VPN was not getting commercials. NWL Matt, Solo loves the fisting ritual. Hey, don't go spreading rumors now. Maybe Solo Sikoa does, but not this Solo. George Seckman, I will never get the image of Undertaker fisting Rhea Ripley. Thank you, Solomonster. You're welcome. Carlos. Also, the show had too much fluff and video packages. Just like their PLEs. Chris with the $4.99 says, did The Rock's behavior confirm that he won't wrestle at WrestleMania this year? The Rock's behavior didn't confirm anything. That's the problem. I'm not ready to say that it confirmed anything. We know about as much now as we did coming into this show. M. Mills, again, thank you for the love. $50 bomb, backed up by David Thiering and his $50 bomb. Just as I did on the New Year's Eve stream, goal, an additional round of Be the Booker unlocked. 2 rounds. We're doing 2 rounds of Be the Booker here in a bit. David, you can thank him for that. Thank you, David, very much. I hope you are having a very happy New Year. Grant Hudson, Taker was on the wrong show. As a longtime SmackDown guy, he should know fisting is a SmackDown thing. Hashtag it's his fisting ritual. See, now that's a fist that I could get behind. Bring back the fist. We need the SmackDown fist back. It's sitting in their warehouse. I know they could still use it. I know they have it. David with the 8 months of channel membership. That call out Solo and all of these fist puns. Give me a good laugh. Boy, do you and JD have a lot to talk about on TNT tomorrow. Yes, that'll be our first show back in 2 weeks. Our first show of the new year. TNT. Tuesday night. I'll see you there. Grant Hudson, Hulk got booed the last time he was on Raw for Raw 30. Hunter definitely set him up. LOL. I know Taker and Sean were in the back rolling. I think they all were, probably. You know that they were laughing their asses off back there. I forgot about that. He did get booed. He got booed on Raw 30 as well. I forgot about that. Yeah, there's no way they didn't know that was going to happen. There's no way. S. McPhee, glad Jey got a win over a big name. Both he and McIntyre are destined world champions after Mania. Who else do you see being world champion in 2025? John Cena. John Cena is going to be a world champion. I think CM Punk. He's a very good chance he's going to take that world heavyweight title from Gunther. Uffman Entertainment, Lee Fitting still producing. Yeah, but I mean, come on. Did you honestly think that that was not going to be the case? They knew what they knew when they hired him. Why would they get rid of him? Tongaloa Superfan. It was nice of Tongaloa to ask The Rock to cover for him on Raw tonight since he couldn't be there. It was a good consolation prize. Well, had we had Tongaloa on the show, he might have done more than The Rock did. All The Rock did was show up, he said hello, and then he drank and drive. Or drank and drove. Right? Past tense. Drank and drove. There you go. How'd you like to be the cop pulling him over? Excuse me, sir, have you been drinking tonight? Just a little bit of Terramana, officer. I got a bottle right here. Is that an open container, sir? Step out of the car. License and registration, please. Jeremy Rose. How do you think Seth feels about having to job clean to Punk? He always has to job to the stars. Cody 3 times and now Punk. Pretty strange for a guy who thinks he's the face of the company. It's why I just can't imagine this being a one and done. And I said, like, if Punk now becomes #1 contender and beats Gunther, you could have Rollins earn the right to challenge Punk at WrestleMania, and he should win. Because he would be due for a win. Raph says, cursing, weed, and drinking and driving. It's Netflix time. You wanted your attitude. There you go. There you go. You got your attitude. Now we're going to get a live sex celebration. Who will the live sex celebration be with this time? It's going to be Dom and Liv. All right. We get another one of those. Then we know attitude is back. Hydrograd. According to the graphic, when Punk was coming out, he had not wrestled on Raw since 2011. Oops. I didn't even notice that. Also, was it just me or did anyone else not like the use of heels and baby faces and shoot and work in that intro video? Yeah, it kind of like, it was a little unnerving to hear it on the show, but whatever. I mean, that's just the age that we're in now. It's not a big deal. Dev to Dust, Tony Khan looks like a fusion of Rick Moranis and Jeff Goldblum. I definitely see, now that you said it, I definitely see some Rick Moranis in there, especially with the glasses. The glasses and and like the facial features. Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. Justin, buy, rent, or sell board rock, rock, paper, scissors, rock, or Holly Rock. Holly Rock. Holly Rock, rock, paper, scissors, rock, and board rock. Holiday 197, do you see Jacob Fatu turning on Solo Sikoa in the coming weeks after his loss to Roman Reigns tonight? Jacob against Solo at WrestleMania. Yes, Jacob Fatu, I believe, will turn on Solo Sikoa. And that could very well be the match at WrestleMania. Because it ain't going to be Roman and Solo. House of Has, Solo, watched on Netflix in New Zealand live. We have all WWE TV content available live here. I recommend the nation gets VPN and log on overseas to stream it. I agree, and I recommend expressvpn.com/Solomonster. You get 4 months free as part of your subscription when you sign up with my code. I'm telling you, this is going to be very useful. Take advantage of that. Raph renewed his membership and said, warmed my heart to hear Hogan's reception. Good show, but curious how it'll do getting new and returning fans in. I'll be on a Canadian VPN. Is that what he says? Every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. Thank you, Raph. Acorn Smoke says they showed the Access selling tickets for NXT on the show, and yeah, it's a brand new thing announced. A lot missed it, sadly, but Eric Bischoff did. Well, I'll give a fuck about Eric Bischoff. Thank you, Acorn, though, for alerting me. West Coast Samoan. I'm drunk. I jump on YouTube. Solo is on. Yes, there's a lot of Samoans in Cali. Boo Hogan. West Coast Samoan, are you drunk off of the Terramana? Do you support The Rock and drink the Terramana? Slow King, because Hulk Hogan got booed. Thank you for the $1.99, brother. Oz Inglorious. Follow-up thoughts on Chris Charlton's suspension. I know the news came out after you recorded 895. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's all part of a work. If he's really suspended, I hope not. Because to me, that just sounds very stupid, but it sounds to me like he was trying to work an angle and somebody got their feathers a little ruffled. But I don't have all the details. I'll have to look further into it. I don't think... I just think it's a very stupid situation. El Rudo, would you consider making a countdown of the greatest Raw moments of the USA Network era? No, because I already did a Raw countdown for the top 30 moments in Raw history. I don't remember offhand what episode of the Sound Off it was. I have it written down somewhere. Send me an email, though. I'll try to look it up and tell you. But I did a Raw countdown years ago. The top 30 moments in the history of the show. So it would just be kind of like a rehash, you know? Ice Rain J coming in with the 10 spot. Did you see the Instagram part where Triple H went to shake Rock's hand and Rock ignored him? Was that a hint at Triple H and Rock at WrestleMania? No, it wasn't. That was Triple H going for a handshake that Rock didn't see, and he was embarrassed on Instagram Live. And now he was embarrassed live on Netflix, too. That's all that was. I did see it. I mentioned it earlier, but again, there ain't nothing going on with Triple H and The Rock. It didn't happen last year. It ain't happening this year. So the answer is no. It is not happening. Tongaloa Superfan, good show. You could really feel Tongaloa's presence on the show despite him not being there. Really? Because I just thought that was gas from dinner tonight. But maybe it was Tongaloa. I suppose it's possible. Thank you, guys. All right, we are at 700. How many likes? 800. 811 likes. So, boy, we blew past that goal. So I thank you for that, and all of our new subscribers as well, as we are on the road to 83,000. We are barreling down the road, but right now we're going to barrel on into 2 rounds of Be the Booker. Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to Be the Booker.
Let's end this first Netflix Raw review in style with a little segment that we call Be the Booker. Now, we have a bunch of new subscribers, and you might be asking yourself, what's this? Well, this is a fun little thing we do on the end of most of these streams that nobody else does. Nobody else does quite like this. And I have put these together myself, and it is a randomizer. We do it for tag teams, women, and we do a men's main event. And it's completely random, and we just see what matches that we can book. If I was booking my own show, I get to be the booker and book a match. So it's very simple. And we're going to start with the tag teams, and we're going to start with the Brothers of Destruction. There they are. Undertaker and Kane with their sledgehammers. The Brothers of Destruction. Or you might say the MAGA powers. There they are. Let's see who they're going to be facing. Who will they be facing here and Be the Booker? They're going to be taking on the APA, Farouk and Bradshaw. At least you know it's going to be 4 guys that are going to beat the holy hell out of each other. And that's all you could really ask for when you try to book a tag team match. That would be a hard-hitting match. I approve. APA. APA. Here we go. Women's Be the Booker, we have Xia Li. Xia Li had those great vignettes on SmackDown, but then was never really used. But I believe she's with TNA now. I believe she's now with TNA. Xia Li and Mina. It's Mina, everybody. Who's Mina, then Tamina? I don't know why that just popped into my head. Mina Shirakawa, who lost to Mercedes Moné at the Tokyo Dome this weekend, I'm sorry to say. Mina and Xia Li. I do love me some Mina. I gotta bell that. I gotta bell it. I gotta bell it. Main event time. Remember, we're doing 2 rounds because we hit the other goals. So this is just round 1. So we're booking 6 matches instead of 3. It's the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, with his rare red polka dots, not yellow, as you can see here, red polka dots, with his trademark splotch. All right, let's see, the American Dream. In the main event, where he belongs, former NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, taking on Terry Funk. Oh my God, we just booked Dusty Rhodes and Terry Funk in the main event. How fucking great is that? If you will. Terry Funk and Dusty Rhodes. Should I? You know I'm tempted to. You know I'm tempted. I got to do it. I got to add a stipulation. I need to know what kind of match these two are going to have. We're going to have a stipulation here. We're going to add a stipulation. Let's find out what kind of match they're going to have. Oh, no. Oh, no. Dusty Rhodes and Terry Funk in a Mimosa Mayhem match. The bell has turned to a buzzer. We had a clean sweep. We had a clean sweep. No more. It's not. No, it's not. Once we add the stipulation, the bell and the buzzer, it counts. It counts as part of that round. And I have ruined it. You would watch that, Nick? Yeah, you would watch that. Dusty Rhodes and Terry Funk in a Mimosa Mayhem match. I got greedy. I had to, though. I wanted to know, because we have, like, deathmatch in there, street fight. I think Texas deathmatch might be a stipulation in there. I'm not sure. All right. Well, ruin that one. Let's go back here to the beginning. Let's do this again. You know what? It's like John Cena said. You play the lottery, right? You can't win if you don't play. I rolled the dice and I lost. All right, let's book another tag team match. We begin with Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. A-Town Down Under. Down Under being pretty much where their careers are at this point. And they'll be defending those SmackDown tag team titles against the former AEW tag team champions. Look at this. Champions against Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. I actually think as a match, that'd be a quality match. And I hope Keith Lee is doing well. Hopefully we'll get to see him back at some point. Yeah, that was the thing. They were tag team champions at one point. Sonya Deville, the leader of Pure Fusion Collective, is starting us off here in Women's Be the Boy. I don't like where this is going. I don't like where this is going. Sonya Deville and Shotzi Blackheart. Yeah. All right, so main event. What I'm going to do this time is I'm going to give it a stip because this has been a big night and I feel like it needs to have a stipulation, but we're going to pick the stipulation first. Let's see what kind of match we're going to book here. A ladder match. All right. Not bad. Not bad. It could be worse. We have a ladder match. Now it just depends on who's in the ladder match. If I land on Dusty Rhodes again, I don't think Dusty Rhodes should be in a ladder match, but all right. Let's see. Who is going to be in this ladder match? We have Sting. We have Crow Sting, the former WCW World Heavyweight Champion. There he is with Big Gold. Sting will be defending Big Gold in this ladder match, but against who? Against The Rock. Sting and The Rock in a ladder match. See, now that's one of those matches where if we ever did back in the day, get like a fantasy warfare kind of super card between the two companies if they worked together, Sting and The Rock would have been a match that a lot of people would have wanted to see. They would have paid good money to see that match, with or without the stipulations. So there you go. At least we ended on a positive note. Can't really beat that. Sting and The Rock. Foxstar Killer. I watched that video twice. Rock hugged Hunter before he hugged Roman. Yeah, well, that's what I said. He hugged him. And then he went for a handshake. And he no-sold it. Donnie Yasu, what do you think TKO would do if they fired Triple H and the fans revolted to have him back? If it was a loud enough revolt, then maybe they would relent. My guess is they wouldn't, because if it ever got to the point where they fired him, it's either because of some kind of controversy or it's because they felt like their bottom line was being affected. And that's all they care about. And so the fans can cry and bitch all they want to, but if they feel like they're going to make more money with a new booker, then tough shit. They're going to have a new booker. Who that person would be, I have no idea. I mean, they got Gabe Sapolsky down in NXT. So, I mean, you want somebody with booking experience. I mean, he's got that. I don't know. I don't know who they would go to. I mean, that would be a very interesting question. Bruce is there. Would they make Bruce the booker? Would they go with somebody who has absolutely no booking experience in wrestling whatsoever? I don't know. And Oz and Glory is buy, sell, rent, Mina, Mariah, and Miss Elizabeth. I mean, Miss Elizabeth was my first crush. Miss Elizabeth, I think, is somebody who you settle down with. You know, you have a couple of kids, you buy a nice house, you start a family, you go on family vacations. It depends what you're looking for in life. Mariah, yeah, look, I'm going to buy a Mariah because I'm not interested in any of that shit. And then we'll go with Mina, and then we'll have Elizabeth on the bottom. You know what I'm interested in? It's based on the way I just ranked that list. What can I say? I'm in my prime. Thank you guys for the fun stream. Again, we had upwards of 2,600 live here. Already our biggest stream of the year. And we just started, man. We're just getting started here in 2025. I'm going to be live again with you here on this channel on Wednesday night after Dynamite. There's going to be a casino gauntlet that Jeff Jarrett is going to try to win. And then on Friday, my hope is that Solo Sikoa gets kicked to the curb. We'll see what happens on SmackDown. I'll be over on JD's channel for Tuesday Night Titans, though. I guess later tonight at this point. So we'll be back at 8:30 Eastern. So I'm going to be all over the place this week. And if you missed it, there's a 2-hour plus podcast that went up late yesterday. It went up very late in the day on Sunday because I was putting my notes together after having watched both Wrestle Kingdom and Wrestle Dynasty back to back. I am exhausted. But so go check that podcast out. Make me feel better so I know I didn't do it for nothing. That's episode 895. And leave a like on the way out if you have not already done so. This was cool. And let's do it again next week. Be well. Stay safe. I will see you guys back here live on Wednesday for the Dynamite review. Until then, all the people there in Los Angeles, what'd you think about Hulk Hogan being on the show tonight? Sorry I asked. I'm just the sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I make them hot. I make them shiver. Their knees get weak whenever I'm around. They see me walk. They hear me talk. I make them feel like they're on cloud nine. Leopoldo, son of a bitch. Look at this guy. Coming in late in style. In style. I forgot I left the booing on. It sounded like I was booing his super chat there. They were still booing Hogan from before. Leopoldo is coming in with an $80 super chat. Talk about a late bomb. My God, that's probably the latest bomb I've ever seen. Says you're killing me, Solo. I was about to drop the I believe super chat, but then you had to add a stipulation and ruin a perfectly fine match to complete the sweep. But $80 ain't bad. I got 30 some characters to work with and so much to say. I will add a couple more. Yeah, I knew I screwed myself when I added that stipulation. Leopoldo, thank you for the support, man. Well, you know how to make a late entrance. I'll say that. Hogan Booze should be a super chat. You know what? That's not a bad idea. I think you just gave me an idea. I'll have to look into that. But Leopoldo, again, thank you, man. Thank you. Have yourselves a good night.